All right. What's good, everybody? What's good? What's good? Welcome, welcome, welcome. What's good? Khalib, Tony Habusa, Crazy, Oryx, Joshua, Reaper, Joey, Christo, Krish, Open World, My Zombie Inside, Pokemaster. What's up, Glenn Bozzy? What's up? What's up? What's up? Lil Nez. All right, we got a bunch of news to cover today. The first of which is definitely this wild statement from Bungie's ex communications manager, Liana Rupert. They said Bungie was below the red line before the Sony acquisition. If it wasn't acquired right then, the studio was very close to shutting its doors, at the very least on Destiny. It was an emergency acquisition. Wow. How crazy is that? How crazy is that? An emergency acquisition. Yeah, they also said like half the community is going to hate me for this, but the only way to keep Bungie alive right now is to support Marathon. Oof. There's a lot going on right now. A lot going on right now. It's Halo 3 all over again? Halo 3 all over again? What do you mean? Even Aztecross weighed in with this? All right, so let's start here. All right, so where do we start this yapping? Got a lot of replies recently. They've been going off for hours. My God, they've been just going off. Look at how many different freaking posts there are. Holy crap, dude. Good Lord in heaven above. All right. Well, let me pull this one up. I literally lost the reply, the initial reply, because so much shit was 10,000 replies in here. There's so many replies. I literally lost it. It's buried in here. There it is. Finally, I found it. Dear God. All right. This is insane, actually. This is actually insane. We're covering a crazy news story. Level 91 Pichu, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Appreciate you. Shout out to the level 91 Pichu. All right. Ex Bungie communications manager Liana Rupert is going buck wild on social media today. We're talking about replies to replies to replies, exposing various different potentially confidential details to the inner workings of Bungie, things that we previously thought were true but have now been confirmed. Let's start with easily the craziest one here. The conversation started when Sammy Cat says on Twitter, it's kind of crazy that this update probably would have been make it or break it for Destiny 2. And it actually would have totally made it if Sony would have given it a chance. So basically, they're saying that the June 9th update is such a powerful and meaningful update that had they actually launched it, it might have been the difference to give Destiny 2 more longevity, which it's complex, but basically they also moved forward things from Shattered Cycle and maybe even The Alchemist into this update. So even though it does feel like this crazy update, we're like, what the heck? We should have just done this without ending the game. It's largely in part due to the fact that they had to bring forward all their future plans into this, right? So that would equal like a crazy amount of time between now and then the next big thing, and maybe even a delay to Shattered Cycle. I mean, there's just a lot of complications. I love the June 9th update, truly, but you know, I don't know that this was going to full on save the game where it was with its current positioning. I wish we could have got more time though. Truly, I do. So I agree with the sentiment. I wish we got another year. I wanted to see what the Shattered Cycle was. I wanted to see what the Alchemist was, but unfortunately we didn't. And so they moved forward everything to give us the biggest, most impressive update ever as a love letter and a thank you to all of the Destiny fans over the years. Ex-communications manager blah, blah, blah. Words are hard. They said, wasn't Sony though. This fight was pre-Sony. So there was a fight going on beforehand, a battle. This individual responds saying, I know it's a consequence from past leadership, but why does it feel like Sony is at fault too? Like, are you blind, Sony? The scene from Star Wars where Obi tells Anakin, you are supposed to destroy the Sith, not join them, comes to my mind. It's a pretty abstract way of expressing your opinion. And we get a response. We get a response. Immediately quotes deep Star Wars lore. Bungie was below the red line before the Sony acquisition. If it wasn't acquired right then, the studio was very close to shutting its doors, at the very least on Destiny. It was an emergency acquisition. So when they purchased them in January of 2022, it wasn't an acquisition of basically we're kicking ass in so many ways. We're just literally printing money over here, right? We're purchasing exotic cars like crazy, Pete Parsons. It was, one done in emergency, which means that they were running a red line, right? Like they weren't very profitable, which is an interesting element here. And it doesn't exactly mean what you think it does. Just because they're running close to the red line doesn't mean that the company isn't valuable, right? Like if your company produces at this time what was estimated $200 million a year, but your overall costs are, let's say 180, $190 million a year, then yeah, you're not extremely profitable, but you're still moving a lot of revenue, right? And you still have a ton of meaning and a ton of impact. And that adds a lot of strength to the portfolio of an even bigger company that is moving, billions of dollars within a year, which is Sony. So that is why it would still be extremely valuable to Sony, right? Like even if you had a business where every year you spent $100 million, like for Bungie it was 200 million. Let's say every year they spent $200 million, and every year they they weren't profitable at all. Let's say they spent exactly 200 million. So they paid everyone's salaries, very expensive salaries, and they built their IP and they're growing their audience, and they have this huge brand that's trademarked and everything, right? Like there's still tons of value aside from profitability, but it would seem as though Bungie was in a pickle. Like they were not extremely profitable, and so they were purchased because it was almost of necessity for them for their longevity. And we know this from various other sources that said that Microsoft actually evaluated Bungie and said that they had an extremely high burn rate. And so Microsoft actually chose to not buy them. Microsoft at the time was purchasing huge companies, Activision Blizzard, $69 billion, countless others, right? They were just hurling billions of dollars left and right, acquiring everything and making themselves easily one of the most powerful companies especially in the gaming space, if not in the entire world, right? So they were going to buy Bungie, and they evaluated them and said, "Yeah, you have too high of a burn rate." And basically, Microsoft's prediction, ironically, in 2022, was that Bungie would eventually run out of money. That Bungie would eventually, their audience would dwindle, or they would falter, they would mess up in some of their approach. And if they messed up at all, when you're running it close, like if your profitability is very slim, if you mess up it at all, then you're deep in the red. And it can go downhill really fast if you think about it, right? Look how bad things got for Destiny 2, where we had the final shape. There was this incredible expansion, right? Record numbers like online, 300 plus thousand, right? On Steam, incredible numbers, 1.8 million on popularity report. Insane how many people got online for the first day of the final shape, right? But we still had layoffs because it cost so much to make the final shape, right? So they were running it really, really close. And Microsoft said, yeah, it's not a very safe bet, basically. Microsoft likes that 30% profit margins. They want you to, anytime you're making something, you want to have 30% profitability. So that way they know that you have some wiggle room for potential future adversity, right? Like your game, your company could go through some turbulent times, right? And if you have 30% profit margins, it can fluctuate. It could go down and it can come back up. And in that, you always remain profitable. So it wasn't anywhere near acceptable for Microsoft and their 30%. We know that that was their big thing with Phil Spencer back in the day, right? So because it was nowhere near that, they decided to just say, yeah, we're not interested. Even though Microsoft could have bought Bungie for $3 billion, that's like toilet paper to them. That means nothing to them. They're multi-trillion-dollar empire, right? They still weren't interested. So clearly, you can see the correlation between the two. This does make sense. This is accurate. But the part that's weird about it, right? The part that is so unusual is how exactly do you get a company that is in the red or running it very close, right? How do you get a company like that and then do this emergency acquisition, but then these guys profit like tens of millions of dollars, or maybe even up to almost $100 million, it seemed. Like, the math doesn't exactly add up, right? It almost doesn't make sense. Like, you would feel like if you were running it really, really close, that the acquisition would match that to some degree. It felt like Bungie was running it close. Clearly they were, according to various different independent sources. Clearly they were, but then the acquisition was just way over the top. Like, it was almost like Sony overpaid for no reason. Like, imagine you approach a business and you evaluate them and you're like, yeah, you guys are going to shut down like next year if you don't accept this deal. Like, you have all of the bargaining power if you're Sony, right? You can lower the cost to as much as possible because Bungie doesn't have an option. They're like, okay, we either shut the doors or we accept the deal, right? It's like doing a deal with the devil at this point, right? Sony could literally drive the price down to as low as possible. But for some insane reason, the price and the acquisition was way over the top. I don't know what was going on, dude, but it needs to be studied, okay? Because Pete Parsons, this man is an actual evil genius because he negotiated the deal of the century, okay? This needs to be written down in the history books of the greatest deals of all time. Bro took a company that was pulling $200 million a year and was about to go bankrupt and said, let me sell this to you for 3.6 billion. Like, how? That's crazy, man. I'm not the only one that had some confusion about this. Even Asdacross weighed in here. He said, here's my problem with the emergency acquisition narrative. Every single person in a position to know the financials had tens of millions of reasons to push it. Marty said on Act Man, he made out well when Sony bought his stock. Barrett's lawsuit says he was owed 45 to 50 million from the deal. The bigger the crisis story, the easier the sale. Maybe it's true, but nobody outside leadership has ever shown the actual numbers. And trust me, we were dying from the people who got rich off the deal isn't evidence. It is. Yeah, it's a pretty good point to bring up there. What do you think about this? What do you think about the situation? It's not all that was talked about either. They also went on to say, in regards to, the rivalry between Destiny 2 and Marathon, they said half the community is going to hate me for saying this, but the only way to keep Bungie alive right now is to support Marathon. Oof. Ain't no way. No, no, no. You're not going to make me play that game for Destiny 3. No. People keep comparing Marathon numbers to Destiny, and frankly, that's ignorant. Why? Why? Why is it ignorant? Marathon was never designed to do Bungie numbers, so Marathon was never designed to do Destiny numbers, is what you're saying? Okay. But however, we do see games all the time do incredibly well, and you're obviously not designing a game to be a failure, right? Like Arc Raiders was made for like 25% the cost of Marathon. It's obviously not as big in terms of the size and the scale of a game like Destiny 2, I guess, but the profitability of Arc Raiders was tremendous for its first 6 months. It was incredible what they did, right? And, that's what they were aiming for. Everyone's looking to make a game that is, well received and well loved and, has mass appeal. Like what if you're not trying to make a game that has mass appeal, then you're trying to make a game that will likely just die anyways. So don't make a live service then. Don't make it multiplayer then. If that's the case, right? If you're trying to make a niche game or a super niche game, then just make it single player game. Doesn't make any sense to enter the shooter space, live service, multiplayer game, and not seek to have big numbers. The conversations about that were very upfront early. It's more aligned with Tarkov than Destiny, completely different target markets that just so happen to have a wide intersection with Destiny target markets since it's uniquely has so many. I suppose you could argue that to some degree, and maybe it was never going to have as big of an audience as a game like Destiny, perhaps. But even still, then you would think you would manage your budget accordingly, like the $250 million price tag to Marathon. And it's obviously lackluster launch didn't match very well. So even if you did strategize to have a more niche game, you definitely didn't, strategize well enough to have the budget match accordingly. All right. So what were all the other replies? I mean, this person, they were just look at all these replies today. Golly, they've been going off. They have spent their entire day on Twitter today, just stirring up the pot, stirring the drama. So someone quoted their post about supporting Marathon. They said, looking at you, Asdacross. They said, to be clear, I'm not speaking about anyone in particular. A general statement that I've said even back in my journo days, nothing but love. Someone said, please let me know if I'm off base here, hippie, but the only way I see Destiny surviving is if folks left pitch a new model for Destiny 2 that doesn't burn cash and hope Sony bites. I imagine they're terrified of reinvesting only to match Year of Prophecy sales figures. That's actually a really valid phrasing of the situation. They said it's a bit more complicated than that and involves some conversations gaming communities in general are not ready to have yet. Kind of a vague response, but I wonder what they're actually saying. I feel like if I had to guess what they're saying, it's probably like a lot of these gaming company devs and people that work in the games industry, they really want to raise the price of games. They want to put the costs of their lackluster performance onto the consumer. So they want the price to go up and up and up and up, like make you pay a lot more for every game. And their hope is that in doing so, they make more money from it, right? Unfortunately, there's various games out there now that are doing the opposite and they're driving the cost down. They're going free to play. And that makes it even more difficult for these companies to survive and thrive because basically getting the ball rolling is really hard. But once it does get rolling, you can see some of these games, they're just printing money like CSGO and these other games are just constantly doing really, really well. And for good reason. They deserve it, right? So I don't think that's gonna the direction that the games industry is gonna go, but we'll see. Someone said, "Well, I personally am glad that even though Bungie was below the red line, it still had enough funds for a new 200,000 square foot HQ in Washington a few years ago, and then took it down not even a year later." What? Did the Bungie HQ get shut down? Did I not realize that? Wait a second. How, and then took it down not even a year later? What happened with that? I remember they had the original Bungie HQ and they moved to this bigger office space, right? And this would have been at the time they were redlining, which is actually a really, really valid criticism, by the way. If you're redlining, why would you buy a massive warehouse? What I know is that when they built it, the devs snapped at you for questioning it. You know what? That's really funny. I actually posted a tweet saying, like, why buy this huge 200,000 square foot warehouse when you just in the recent years before that, you had just announced that you were doing things remotely. So you're doing a lot of remote work. It doesn't exactly make sense. It doesn't make sense that you would like invest all this money. Like imagine if you had an online business, like imagine even in my business here where I'm sitting here in my freaking apartment, streaming and playing video games. Imagine I go and buy this gigantic warehouse. It's like, well, now I have to cover the costs of that. It's only going to run the stream or run my profitability into the ground unless I can somehow make up the difference for the expensive rent, right? Doesn't make any sense to go. It didn't make any sense to simultaneously buy the biggest warehouse ever only to then also go online for remote work. She says, someone says, no, that's wrong, provides no counterexample or evidence. I love this website. They said, source, I was there. I'm not getting sued for y'all's entertainment. Please be serious. Yeah, so basically they're saying that they're not going to give the source of how they know that it was an emergency acquisition. But the fact that they're even saying it is like, I mean, I'm not saying they're going to get sued, but it's like, it's not good. Right? I do feel like now that Bungie is probably going to go down, like probably Marathon shuts down, right? We're going to see the biggest wave of drama and information and craziness we've ever seen before. Because once there's no more NDAs, it's going to be all out warfare. All right. So get your get your sword and shield and get ready for the memes, dude. It's about to get crazy out here. As the Cross is trying to get an interview with them, They said, I'm always down to talk about anything as long as it can be respected that there are certain things I can't talk about. I don't want words twisted or to feel like I'm being cornered. I've been very careful with my legal team to ensure I'm not saying anything that puts me in danger of being sued. That's so interesting. They seem to be very, very particular about not getting sued, and I laugh. It I laugh only because no one's holding a gun to your head and making you say any of this. Like, no one is making you say any of this. Like, there's like this attention-seeking tweets, and then they're like, well, but I mean, I can't say anything more. But it's like, well, why did you say anything in the first place? Like, I can't get sued, but I can say this. It's like, all right, I get it. Maybe they just really, really want to put that opinion out there or talk to their community. Like clearly they were a big part of the community. So they want to say their bit. But and honestly, I'm not going to stop them. You know what I'm saying? We'll take the drama, we will absolutely discuss the situations as they're presented. But it's a pretty wild situation, right? All right, and that's about it for everything. Let me know what you think about the situation down in the comment section below. What a crazy day today. Marty video? Yeah, let's watch that. You missed it all, Granny Batchinitis? Unbelievable. You didn't have notifications on? Not following? We're live on 5 channels. Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Kick. 5 notifications on your phone, Granny Bat. And you missed them all? Unbelievable. This is why we can't have nice things. This is why we can't have nice things. I didn't see the Mixer notification. Damn. So what, is this the new one? This came out 3 hours ago from Martin O'Donnell. Bungie.net blazed a path for today's community managers. Followed 2 days ago? That's what I'm talking about. Is this the one, KBG? I have notifications on. Kick didn't send me it. Oh my god. One second, I gotta sneeze. I'm allergic to all this bullshit. God damn it, I can't see. You ever have to sneeze and then you can't sneeze and that just like ruins your whole day? They need to make a device that can force you to sneeze, Just like a little vial, like a little vial of dust. You just like shoot up your nose. So you're about to sneeze and then you stop and you're like, ah, and then you like, snort a line of dust real quick and finish your sneeze. Look at the sun? Is that what it is? You go look at the sun and it'll force you to sneeze? Look at the bright light. It always works. What the heck? Drew's as a kid, he would stare directly into the sun for hours. It's not the sharpest tool in the shed. That fucking guy. He ate a lot of lead paint chips too. I don't know what this is even about. This is 7.5 minutes. Like, Oh, I guess we'll find out. All right. Marty O'Donnell is back again, spilling the beans on Bungie, and it's time to lock in. Let's see what we're cooking up here today.
In like 97, 98, the idea of a game developer or publisher having a community manager, that wasn't really a thing, was it? I mean, you sort of, yeah,
at all. Well,
yeah.
So there was.
So in 1997, 1998, we didn't even have community managers. They were literally just making games for the love of the games. That was it. You just made games. You didn't need public relations. You didn't need any of this. You just made the game. Period.
It wasn't a thing, but Bungie was a trailblazer.
So you were out there in Texas. Now you knew Charlie, right?
Yeah.
So how did that relationship start, and who came to Bungie first?
So, all right, let's see. Going back to the 90s. So I grew up here in Austin. That's where I am now.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to work in games. I went to UT Austin. There was no game programs of any sort at the time. There was really nothing. There was actually just one 3D art program at UT, and you had to be like a fourth year art major to get into it. So that was a dead end. So I ended up getting a degree in photojournalism, of all random things, but really wanted to work in video games. And eventually I applied for a job that got posted at Bungie called graphic designer / webmaster. That was the job title.
Oh.
Got interviewed for that. Seropian, I've told that story before, but
sure.
Fun call how Alex Seropian called me up, and one of my roommates picked up the phone, and all sorts of fun there. But eventually they flew me up to Chicago.
Alex Seropian is one of the original founders of Bungie, by the way. So the original founder calls him personally to hire him and to interview him.
Doug Zartman actually picked me up at the airport.
First time I met. Okay.
Yeah, drove me down to their office down on South Halstead Street, which was where you and I met for the very first time later on, and eventually offered me a job on the spot before I had to go catch my flight home.
And this is like what, 96, 97?
97. Yeah, this was in 97. Okay. This was a couple months. This was like October 97, so a few months before Myth the Fallen Lord shipped. So yeah, I got hired. I moved up there. I packed everything I owned into my car. I moved up there a week later, and I had so much work to do. I didn't have any time to find an apartment. So I literally slept at the office on a cot for like 2 weeks.
That's why the office was the way it was.
Well, so when I got hired, like right out the gate, there was just a ton of work, right? Like I had to, that's why I stayed at the office, because I mean, I had no time. I had to finish the box, right, to get it to the printer, do all the ancillary marketing materials, promo materials. Pretty much right out the gate, I redid the Bungie website. I redid the BungieNet website. Yeah. I had my hands full. I had a lot of work, and I kept doing that stuff for a while. The community stuff was just something that I picked up because it was kind of weird. Like Bungie launched their first online game in Myth the Fallen Lords, and they launched this BungieNet service kind of modeled after Battle.net, I imagined. I never asked anyone about it. And they launched this amazing game that was probably my favorite game of all time, especially the multiplayer, right? Playing Myth the Fallen Lords online. And it was really my first online communal experience also. And then they just abandoned it, right? Like off to make the next game, off to work on.
Hey, wait. This story sounds familiar. What the hell?
To working on Halo.
Yeah.
And nobody paid any attention. And I was basically I was staying at the office every night playing Myth anyway. So eventually I just organized some community volunteer admins and whatnot. And because I was doing a lot of the website stuff, it just made sense to sort of do the community management, if you will. But I was just doing it because I cared about the community, I guess.
Yeah. And that's sort of, I mean, I'm trying to think, in like 97, 98, the idea of a game developer or publisher having a community manager, that wasn't really a thing, was it? I mean, you sort of,
at all. Well, so it wasn't a thing, but Bungie was a trailblazer in that, I won't reveal any identities, but by the time I got there, they already had I got hired to be a webmaster.
Yes.
They had a
I know who the webmaster is. Yes.
A webmaster who was a freaking scientist genius. And I remember after I got there, the guy who wrote the letters to the webmaster and responded to them, I remember he came up to my desk one day, all like sort of hat in hand, all humble, and was like, well, I guess since you got hired, it says webmaster in your job title, you're going to be writing the letters now. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, you're amazing.
Yeah, you're the webmaster. Yeah.
So, that was a very strange form of community management, but it kind of worked.
Yeah,
But
it totally worked.
All the fans who wrote dumb shit, but whatever.
Now, were all those webmaster letters the ones that were sent to the webmaster? With all those real, or were some of those made up?
100%. They were real. 100% real communication from people. Nothing was made up. It was,
wow, that's tremendous.
Wow.
Okay.
It was
Yeah,
amazing.
it's funny because I remember we finished Myth of Fallen Lords, and then I said, hey, Alex, there's enough music here if we wanted to. We should like make a little soundtrack album and sell it, and we'll split the profits. And he goes, okay, yeah, we'll do the printing and make the CDs, and you do the music part and give us we'll make the thing. And he said, but let me see if there's any desire for it. He says, we'll do some, product testing. And I thought, okay, well, that's going to take a few weeks. I was in the advertising business. So I thought it was going to take, weeks to do testing or whatever that meant, user interest or whatever. And he called me back later that afternoon. He goes, yeah, we should do it. I'm like, well, I thought you were going to do testing. And he goes, oh, I did. I said, what did you do? He says, well, I put it out to the community. Like, did they want a soundtrack album? And everybody said yes. And I thought, oh, I like this. I like the way this is. It's like instant, feedback. And, you say something to the community and everybody's,
awesome.
Gives you their feedback. You know exactly where you stand all the time.
The good and the bad and the ugly. It was wonderful. I remember that soundtrack. I did the package design for it.
Oh, right? Did you? Oh gosh.
Yeah, the first one.
That's right. Of course you did. Because, in my head, Lorraine did all of those, but she wasn't there yet. Yeah, that was later.
I hired Lorraine as a graphic designer to essentially replace me in, I think, 99.
Okay.
So yeah, for a little while I was doing all that stuff. So yeah, I did the first soundtrack. I used to have to figure out, you remember Alex's silly arbitrary product codes?
Yeah.
Like shorthand for, some silly saying or, getting revenge on some journalist who did bad by us or whatever. I had to figure out the product code. And I think it was always like the 11th hour. I had to what's a product code, Alex? He's like, yeah, whatever. And I think the product code on the very first soundtrack was a dumb poem that I had written. If you go back and look, you probably have it somewhere. It probably says YYMMDBATC. I'll let you figure out what that means.
And I have no idea what that is. Roses are red. No, why?
Alex is great. The sort of sense of humor and their reverence.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, we got to mute that immediately before we get hit with the heavy DMCA. All right. Very interesting stuff. Seeing a breakdown of the industry, the OGs, the old heads, dude. The dinosaurs. They're giving us a breakdown. I thought I was old, right? These guys are talking about games that I didn't even know about. They were playing Mythos, and then they completely abandoned that project for Halo. He was so sad. You could see he was like, it was my favorite game, and they completely abandoned it. I was like, no, Destiny. Why? The curse goes, the cycle goes once more, again and again and again. And here we are. But this time I think it's different. This time surely it's different. Back in the day, I mean, here's the thing. When you're sitting on Halo, the IP of Halo, and you've got, Papa Microsoft chirping in your ear, giving you all these numbers and figures, and, you're basically about to start printing money at Bungie. It's almost understandable, right? Like, I could get why Mythos was left behind for Halo, right? Like, no one even remembers Mythos by comparison, right? Everyone remembers Halo because of the money and the upside and the, how prolific that IP turned out to be. Halo only got left behind because they didn't own the IP outright, right? So they're like, all right, well, let's start a whole new project. We're going to own this thing, right? And that's why Destiny is something very special, because it's something completely owned by Bungie, or at least was until they sold to Sony, right? The problem now is that Sony also owns Marathon. They own the entire company. And it's just, we're not ascending to the next best thing, right? I feel like if the next IP that came after Destiny was just so much better than Destiny, I would put it down. We'd be like, listen, guys, Destiny, it had its time. Myth Bro. Am I saying it wrong? What is the game called? Fuck. Myth the Fallen Lords review. Oh, dude, this game is an absolute banger, dude. I can already tell. You got the behind the scenes, dude. Look at these guys. You got Alex Ropian with the white tee, the blue. Who is this? Wait a second. Wait a second. Who is this? Look at his mullet. Dude, there's no way. I'm pretty sure this guy still works there. He has like. That's so funny, dude. This is a classic. Alex. This is Alex Ropian right here. This is Alex Ropian. This is Jason Jones? Fuck. Generic white guy number 1, generic white guy number 2. I mixed them up. Fuck. Mullet, dude, that was all right. But it's interesting to see, Myth, the game Myth died. I didn't know, I didn't hear about the game Myth. I didn't hear about this. I'm old, but I'm not that old, right? I didn't hear about it. Let me know what you think about the situation. Does Bungie need communications managers? I can't help but feel like it's a really important role nowadays to have someone be like the front man, right? This guy, he's got to take on like the shield. Obviously, we have DMG, for better for worse. He's got, he does his job. He at least talks and communicates with people a decent amount. Obviously, Warframe, they have Reb Ford, and they are absolutely locked in. They have, the aura points, right? Everyone's enjoys them as their, I think they're like the creative director. I don't even know if they're the communications man. They're like the creative director. So the roles don't even make sense sometimes. Some people just step up and they're like, fuck it. I'm just the face of this thing now, and they just start talking on the forums and they become such a key figure when it comes to communications. Like recently we were just talking about Dirty F and Hippie, they even post leaving Bungie, they're still yapping about Bungie stuff years later. I think the communication is important. I think having a communications manager is key. And in fact, I would say that you need someone that potentially needs to be like an outside hire. I'll give you a good example. Some of these guys at Bungie, they're a little too nerdy. They're a little too oddball. You kind of want someone on camera that has a little bit of, charisma. They have some good public speaking skills. They have the ability to be relatable, maybe crack a joke once in a while. They present themselves in a way that is, you don't have to be a Giga Chad necessarily, but you want to at least, look respectable, right? Like the crazy neck beards, no offense to anyone watching this with a neck beard, but it's like, if you're on camera with the crazy neck beard, you got to lock in. You got to shave the neck beard a little bit. A little bit. Reb used to be the communications manager, but she was promoted to game director. Wow. So she got elevated up. They should hire Kevin Pereira. I have no clue. Myth the Fallen Lords used to play that game. I was so mad when they sold the rights for the third game to another developer. I saw Halo coming out and I was like, what the crap is that? But then I got into that game, LOL. Myth the Fallen Lords was a great game. That's where we got the Siege of Magic. Dude, apparently we need to go back. We need to start playing Myth The Fallen Lords. Myth, dude. Why did they go back to Marathon then? Why did they go back to Myth? Did Marathon predate Myth? List off all Bungie games in chronological order. So yeah, Ganop, which is 1990. 91 is Operation Desert Storm. 92 is Minotaur, The Labyrinths of Crete. 93 is Pathways into Darkness. 94 is Marathon. 95 is Marathon 2. Oh, Marathon 2, it already happened. 96 is Marathon Infinity. 97 is Myth, The Fallen Lords. 98 is Myth 2. 2001 is Oni. 2001 is Halo Combat Evolved. 2004 is Halo 2. 2007 is Halo 3. 2009 Halo 3 ODST. 2010 Halo Reach. 2014 Destiny. 2017 Destiny 2. 2026 Marathon, the modern extraction shooter reboot. That's crazy. In those early days, they were just making a game in those early days wasn't nearly as much of a developmental effort, it would seem. So they were just pumping games out randomly. Operation Desert Storm, what is even that? Dude, this is Bungie's second game. Yo, Pentagon security clearance. What Middle Eastern region became a British protectorate in 1922? Answer on page 15 of the manual. Palestine? What? Yo, Palestine mentioned in Bungie game? Damn, it's crazy. What even is this game? I uninstalled this garbage off my PC and the stupid new exotic mission that doesn't tell you where to go. It does give you hints. It doesn't hold your hand though. There's some mystery. You gotta solve it. You know what I'm saying? If they just hold your hand and show you where to go, it's not as fun. Little puzzles to solve. Dude, we're literally going to Saudi Arabia. Dude, they were not fucking around in 1991. Dude, we're out here in the desert. Are those people? Did he just pick up gas? He did. He ran over a little gas tank. He's got to refuel his gas. Oh, he took fire. Oh, it's tank warfare, dude. Tank warfare. Oh my God, they got absolutely cooked right there. Oh wait, no, they didn't get cooked. They won. Fuck, I thought they lost. Myth names inspired Destiny, the Thrall, the Nine. Really? That's so crazy. We're going to Iraq, dude. Oh my God. We're literally going to Iraq. In 91, was this like before George Bush? When was George Bush? When was George Bush and the weapons of mass destruction? When was all that business? That was from 2002 to 2003. So that was 10 years after this. This was before. This predates all of that, dude. Dude, they should have done a sequel of this. They should have done Operation Desert Storm 2, Weapons of Mass Destruction. Operation Desert Storm 3, George Bush Warfare. Dude, this would have been peak. This would have been totally. Oh no, he's gonna get hit. Oh wait, no. Is he trying to get? Oh, he's shooting a missile. Oh shit. Operation Desert Storm 4, Osama bin Laden. Damn, we went from Operation Desert Storm to Escape from Roblox, dude. We were out here in the fucking sand fighting war to literal shooting, cartoon colors, fucking blue blood, fucking every character's fucking androgynous. Like, dude, we went from Giga Chad to fucking I don't even know what, man. What were we thinking? How did we lose the fucking plot this bad? How did we lose the plot this bad? I would play this fucking game before Marathon. I'd play this fucking game right now. I'm a tank roaming around in the desert. This is actually kind of sick. Mhm. Marathon was a Doom game back then. Yeah, it was. We were watching the original Marathon game back in the day. To be fair, robots tend to not have biological sex. I guess I don't know if we're actually just like straight robots though. Like you're a 3D in Marathon, you're like a 3D printed version of a person, right? I'm pretty sure that's what you are. Like your consciousness is represented in this thing, right? And it has like what's that called? Like anthropomorphic qualities. Anthropomorphic. What happened here? There would be no reason for something if they can't be in. Matter smoke, yeah. Nah, be trying, yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They did have like all of the Marathon characters, even not to yap about too much, but they all have clearly anthropomorphic qualities, right? Like they're not like robots in the strict like robot setting necessarily. Like they're very, they do be looking like people, right? They do kind of look like robots, like a hybrid. But all right, what else is there for the news today? Halo was originally built in the Myth engine and wasn't going to be first person. Yeah, I heard about that. Their conscience shells. What are the characters in Marathon? Are they like 3D printed? And like Marathon, the game, the new one, the reboot. Are they 3D printed? Are they people that exist that their consciousness is being put in there? Or, what are they representative of? It says they're bioprinted bodies inhabited by human consciousness. A runner is a human being who originally had a normal biological body. That person's consciousness has been digitized / copied. Their mind is transferred into a bio-cybernetic shell. Those shells are bioprinted, meaning they're essentially manufactured bodies rather than naturally born humans. Bungie has literally referred to them as bioprinted bodies in developer materials. So they're bioprinted. So they're like it's like a hybrid. So when you see characters like Blackbird or Glitch, you're not looking at robots with AI personalities. You're looking at people wearing bodies that were built for a purpose. That's why they say it feels like $1 trillion. It's like advanced technology that obviously doesn't exist in the real world now, but in a theoretical, sci-fi setting. Bungie deliberately asked the question, is the you in the shell the original person or just a duplicate? How many times can you transfer before you stop being yourself? The game suggests that every transfer changes you a little bit. Memories can degrade over time, and runners undergo psychological grounding exercises to maintain their identity. So are they 3D printed? Kind of. They're not like a plastic 3D printer in your garage. The aesthetic is inspired by lattice structures, additive manufacturing, modern 3D printing technology. Bungie calls the visual style graphic retrofuturism and specifically references the look of 3D printed forms. So the shells are bioengineered, grown and manufactured, assembled using advanced printing techniques like a 3D printer, kind of like, but much more advanced version of that. The closest sci-fi comparisons to Marathon would be Avatar. That's the closest thing that it says online. So like an Avatar, the Marine guy, you know, lays down in the bed, right? And he goes to bed, goes to sleep, and he wakes up in the Avatar body. It's like a bio, you know, it's like he wakes up in this. It's not the Avatar that you wake up in. It's not a Na'vi, like a naturally born Na'vi. It's a bioengineered Na'vi, right? That's essentially the same thing. And so, yeah, and so the alien that you wake up as is like, you know, it's obviously like not the usual, you know, it doesn't look like, it looks like I don't even know how to describe it. How do you describe the Na'vi? Like blue, super tall, I don't know. Blue, tall cat aliens. Yeah, something like that. All right, what should we play today? What should we grind in the game today? I want to jump into Destiny 2 and play a little bit. What's there to do? What's the cheese? Carries? Pantheon carries? Problem is I need people. Let's do this. Oh, actually, I have... let's go here. I had a really interesting... I saw a clip of someone using Vex Mythoclast, and this thing was absolutely crushing it. So I'm going to try that out. Apparently Vex is doing crazy shit in Crisp right now. Didn't it get Wine rounds? Did it really? Did it Callus drop for it? I don't even know how to get all these Callus. What the hell is that? Cozy Fireplace live stream started playing. I love YouTube's freaking autoplay feature. It just starts randomly playing the most bizarre shit. All right, let's get in here. Vex Mythoclast, that's all I need. Let's try this out. I think yesterday I swore off the Crucible. I said I would never play again. And here we are. I turned autoplay off, yeah. That's a good smart move right there. Then I got my double surrounded sword. Not ready for this. Dealing damage with your weapons temporarily grants enhanced sliding? What the hell? Sliding clicks near my... This looks crazy. Do I even have 4 sets of this? What does this one do? Bigger ammo grants armor charge. Grants a bonus to health stat per armor charge you have. Alright, let's see how good this Vex is. Why does it say I'm legend? Oh, I need to reset this. Elon Musk has become the world's first trillionaire. Elon Musk has become the world's first trillionaire. Wow. That's incredible. With all that money, I mean, think about that. That much money. I know it's not like he has it all stored away in a vault somewhere, like some Scrooge McDuck level wealth. But with that much money, you know, making a Destiny 3 really isn't that, you know what I'm saying? It's not that, it's not even that much. It's a drop in the bucket. Okay, now make Destiny 3. I have 4 grandkids under 10 right here. I am. No worries. My game froze. Damn it. Shut down. Shut down. Why? Why are you like this? Funny follow-up tweet to Elon Musk in DMs. Let's see what we got. Someone said, inspiring, this young man came to America with no hair and 0 bitches. Now he has a full head of hair and 55 children. That's insane. That's insane. Absolutely inspiring, dude. That's the American dream. Trials runs? I might do some trials. If I'm doing trials, I'll either go solo. What did Jeff Keighley say? What's Jeff Keighley tweeting out? Capcom will return to Gamescom this August. Nice. What do you think about ArenaNet announcing Guild Wars 3 while also claiming to commit to Guild Wars 2 story/content updates for the next 15 years? And this year they surprised everyone with an X pack for Guild Wars 1. Dude, I don't know anything about Guild Wars. I am a guild noob. What the hell is even a Guild Wars? Give me a breakdown of the video game Guild Wars. Guild Wars is a fantasy MMORPG developed by ArenaNet and originally published by NC Soft. It has a fascinating history because it tried to reinvent what online RPGs could be. The original Guild Wars, 2005, was very different from games like World of Warcraft. What made it unique? It had no monthly subscription fee. You bought the game and could play it indefinitely. Instanced world design. Towns and outposts were shared social spaces, but once you ventured outside, your party entered a private version of the world. Heavy focus on skill builds. Competitive PvP emphasis. Interesting. The original game launched with 6 professions: warrior, ranger, monk, necromancer, mesmer, elementalist. Interesting. Wow. Yeah, I haven't heard much of this game at all. Guild Wars, dude. I have to watch some gameplay on this. All right. I've been told the Vex Mythoclast is OP, which honestly, that's the way it should be. Imagine they bring the meta back to the OG status. What was the most OP weapon when Destiny 1 originally launched? I swear Vex was it, right? Vex was like the most busted gun of busted guns. What? How's that guy even seeing me? It's a really old franchise, is Guild Wars. Yeah. What's crazy about gaming is that there will be games that people will talk about, and there'll be a game I've never even heard of, and I'll look it up, and it'll be like massive. Like it was a game that was iconic for years, made so much money. I'm like, whoa. Like the game space is so crazy. trying to be an expert or be knowledgeable on all games is like actually a like PhD level effort. But I'm here for it, you know? Like I actually want to be an expert on all games. It's going to take me a long time, but we're working on it. I want to understand everything about the games industry. So I find it all to be really fascinating. What games did well, and then where those studios went. What games did well and then fell off. Why they fell off. You know? How do the gaming trends work? Dude, that guy's getting melted. Holy shit. I got no health regen. Dude, this thing is good as hell. Oh my god. Dude. Dude, what? He got the first shot off and I still... Dude, this thing is good. I'm actually clapping the hand cannon, people. I am very happy about this. If my aim was better, my aim is so bad. Well, that's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt. Heal up. I need to fix my build. Dude, I was weak when I challenged that. I still almost killed him. Oh. On how well it will do Guild Wars? I'm not sure. Some of those old franchises, it's hard, man. It's hard for them. Technology has just advanced so much. Like, what do you think really killed Halo? Like, let's say it wasn't 343. Let's say it was like the Dream developer. You know, what would it take for Halo to have gone on and stayed successful for all those years? Like, I don't know if it was possible. I feel like Halo's success created the opening for all these other shooter games to, you know, build their own core fan base and, you know, build their own audience. Does that make sense? You think that's fair? You think that's accurate? Put my bolt charge up. No way. I think Halo's downfall was when they put you in the suit of someone who isn't Master Chief. Really? When did that happen? It's Halo. I find Halo's history to be so fascinating because I have no bias one way or the other because I didn't play it enough. Like, I only played just the tiniest bit. So I can't call myself like an actual, you know, Halo player or enthusiast. Like, I was playing Call of Duty at the time. Call of Duty was an interesting one. Like, I can break down why Call of Duty died. Call of Duty died because they kept doing the same thing every year, and they didn't change it up enough that it was like so wildly different. There's an interesting element to that, right? If you change it up too much, people are frustrated because they're like, it's not Call of Duty anymore. But if you don't change it up enough, people just get like fatigued. They're just like, oh, I don't really want to put in this much time to the same game. It's just, over and over and over again. So for me, Call of Duty was like Call of Duty Modern Warfare was peak, so good. World at War was not as good because the setting wasn't as cool as Modern Warfare. So World at War was like 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. Modern Warfare 2 was 10 out of 10. Incredible. We loved that. And then you had Black Ops, right? Black Ops, really good. Probably like 9 out of 10. And then after Black Ops, you had what? Modern Warfare 3? Is that what? I didn't play as much of that. I was starting to get burnt out at that point. That's where it was like, all right, really? Didn't really care as much. And then I think they did Black Ops 2 after that. That was really good. There's an interesting element to these games, right? Like, you'll find something that you really like in the game, and it's really fun, but it does it does get old eventually. That's why it's always incredible when you see a game like World of Warcraft that's like been doing it for 22 years. You're like, wow. Really? The whole red versus blue stuff killed Halo for me? Interesting. Red versus blue. Okay, I guess I'm just going to spawn into a golden gun. That's fine. What was the red versus blue stuff? Okay, I'm just spawning into a grenade. What's the synopsis of that? Explain what the Halo red versus blue thing was in like Halo 4. You're a Spartan 4 stationed outside the UNSC Infinity. Multiplayer matches are combat simulations. Red team versus blue team aren't real enemies. Spartans are training against one another using incredibly advanced holographic live fire simulations. What was it before that then? Was it like actual warfare then? What was it before Red vs. Blue was like actual warfare? Red vs. Blue was a comedy series made by a bunch of fans where they went into the multiplayer maps and acted out funny stories and turned it into episodes. That's what it was, Sweet Hat Bro? A comedy series? That's what killed Halo for you? Was a comedy series? Why did that kill it for you though? What did that what? Oh, like it was so bad that it killed it for you? It was like terrible? Like you didn't enjoy it? It was well praised. Most people loved it. People loved Red vs. Blue. Really? Huh. So why did it kill it for you? What's the explanation why like what about it was so obnoxious, I guess? What's that, David Bell? Really, dude? I spawn into a super. The first thing I fight in my PvP match is a fucking Blade Barrage, dude. You know what? This game needed to die. I'm kidding. That's too far. You're like, hey, wait a second, Lucky. It's too far. That's why this game needed to die. Spawns in, gets hit by an ultimate 5 seconds into the fucking game. Found a tweet from 2022. What happened? I guess post it in the Discord, or post it in the, Discord. 2022, huh? Let's see here. What did we say back in 2022? Bungie is going digital first. Most current and future roles will be fully remote eligible in these states, with more coming soon. So, interesting. So you can work remotely at Bungie, right? And so my response was, no one liked my response. Everyone was like, this idiot. I said, I might be dumb, which, to be fair, I might be. And I do eat a crayon from time to time. But didn't Bungie just double their studio size? Why is a physical studio even necessary if you can work remotely? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I was just asking questions. I wasn't even trying to do that. I was just asking questions. Did they shut down? I want to see this. Did they shut down? When did Bungie enter their new studio? They moved into their huge 208,000 square foot headquarters in Bellevue, Washington in fall 2022. Bungie moved into their new 208,000 square foot headquarters in Bellevue, Washington in fall 2022, correct? This was like right around the time of the acquisition, or this would have been, yeah. They announced it in February 2021. They had an 84,000 square foot studio. They were going to they went from 84,000 to 208,000. The irony is that they had layoffs afterwards. So, but didn't they have layoffs shortly afterwards? Like, they clearly must not still be in the 208,000 square foot headquarters, right? So they're still in that building. Interesting. Interesting. It's fascinating. Bellevue's not cheap yet. How much do you think the rent is for a month for a 208,000 square foot? Like, give an estimate for how much it would cost for just that. In Bellevue, and the size and everything factor in. Fascinating. That amounts to $10 million a year. Damn. A conservative estimate. But because Bellevue is a Class A estimate, it is more likely $13 million a year. $13 million a year. Well, about $1 million a month to rent that out. $1 million a month because it's Bellevue, Washington. God damn. That's crazy. They're in so much trouble, dude. They got this huge warehouse. They got this massive warehouse filled with no one. You could probably shout in it and you can hear your echo come back at you. Hello? Is anyone home? And then you got Marathon's operating costs are $6 million a month. That's tough. That's trouble. You're just dumb for asking these questions? I mean, I was just saying, like, the budget, the logic doesn't make sense. The logic is not logicking. That's all I was saying back in the day, right? That's all I was saying. Whenever I see things that are bits of information that conflict with them, other bits of information, I'm always, like, curious. I'm just, I don't see a problem with questioning it, Like, why do we need to, we're tripling the size of the warehouse, but we're also going online? Seems very unusual. I feel like if I had to, if you had to pick a solution, like if you could have your entire game studio work remote, then you could just skip out on the $1 million a month bill, right? Like, that's a pretty good trade-off, is it not? Like, that seems pretty good to me. You don't have to pay $1 million a month to have a big building. You just let everyone work from their home. That seems like strategically the most the best cost-cutting measure possible. Think of their electric bill. I mean, the electric bill is high. Everything's going to be high in that situation. But ultimately, the biggest cost is, of course, the devs, right? And paying their salaries. Some people need to be in the office to do their job. That's what they told me. Yeah, that's what Bungie was trying to roast me. Some people need to be in the office to do their job. Some thrive in person. Yeah. Well, now they're going to be in home because they got nowhere else to be. They got no job. So I guess that worked out really well for you guys, didn't it? I got a job, bro. Yeah, BS. What'd you get? Where you working? Yeah, it's weird. It's funny because you'll see some companies and they just don't miss. They just keep making smarter moves, right? And you can just see it from the outside perspective, and you're just like, yep, these guys, they just keep winning and they never stop winning. And even though their practices might be actual evil genius practices, they're making evil genius moves. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at Amazon, right? Amazon, Jeffrey Bezos is an absolute evil genius running that fucking thing, dude. Evil genius level. The strategy, everything that's gone into that, dude, that is like a masterclass of execution. And it's impressive. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, the employees are not particularly happy about it, right? There's a lot of people trying to unionize and stuff. But it's crazy impressive what he was able to create, right? Love or hate the practice in some ways, but I'm saying that in terms of the business execution and strategy, crazy. So you can kind of see that. And then when you see another company and you're just like, why are you doing that? That doesn't make sense. That doesn't work with that. That's gonna hurt you in the long run. Why would you you're doing that? But that doesn't go with, you know what I'm saying? It's easy to like be confused. Should we spam Elon Musk to fund D3? I don't think that's gonna help anything. Amazon, yes. Amazon Game Studio, no. Yeah, exactly. That's actually pretty fair. RIP to my fucking New World, dude. We barely knew you. You had a good run. What's happened with a lot of those big Titan companies, those like Amazons and, you know, even Elon Musk's companies, is that they just want to bolster their positioning and their portfolios by having diverse investments. It's basically like creating a makeshift like monopoly where you create an entire ecosystem that's self-reliant on itself so you can, you know what I'm saying? Like if you have a company, you know, like say you own the lemonade stand, right? It's like, all right, you own the lemonade stand, that's great. But now say you own the trademark to, you know, lemonade stand, the name, and anyone that uses lemonade stand has to pay you royalties to have the sign lemonade stand. And then you own the table company, right? So then anyone that wants to put a table down and then you own the lemonade packets, right? That's what you gotta own, the whole ecosystem, dude. That's what these guys want. That's what Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, they want this, they want monopoly. They want to own it all. So that way they keep feeding themselves, feeding their own companies with their own success of their other companies. Am I auditioning for Streamer University? Sign me up, dude. Sign me up. Kai Sinat. Let's do this. Bungie was first to offend, but always offended. Yep. Oh, I might capture because zone that's already captured. That's crazy. My aim is non-existent, dude. Oh, that guy should be dead. Shoot that guy. Or you're cooked, bud. You're cooked. You're done. Get out of here. Nope. I'll get killed by that. Oh, too many people. I'm signing up to be a cameraman. Perfect. No way, Brick. What's up? Lord Chungus. Got me, dude. He had that machine gun. Or no, he had something else. Sad boy hours without Vex, dude. You better lock in and get it. Cooked. Thought I had a tall wall. Put a little half wall down. Oh, hell no, you're not shooting my teammate. What? I can't aim! What did... How did I not hit that guy? Wait a second. Stop the recording. Did I really? I swear I didn't scuff it up that bad. I scuffed it up, but I didn't scuff it up that bad. Wait a damn minute. Wait a damn minute. Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. Let the record show. I want to see what happened here. All right, we're going to go through it here. Speed, 0.25. All right. We're going to go hit or miss. Miss, 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 hit, 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 miss, miss, hit, miss, 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 miss. That, miss. That should be a hit right there. Dude, that, I'm hitting him. That's fucked up, dude. Apparently hit him in the body, dude. Neo, is that you, dude? That was crazy. Apparently their lateral movement, I don't know. It fucked me up pretty good. Gotta sit up forward if I'm gonna play damn Crucible. On console, it's better because the aim assist keeps it on target. Yeah, I can imagine. I need to get back into rocking the controller. Back on the roller, dude. All right, let's see what news stories we got here. This is what you want me to do? The hell is this?
Streaming University. It's good to be back.
I thought he quit streaming. What the hell? I thought he quit streaming.
Everybody at? It's application day. Hold on. What the? Hello? Anybody home? It's application day. What we doing?
What is even happening anymore?
Oh my gosh. What happened to this place? Are these supposed to be the new uniforms? Damn. God. Who's there? Is that your guy? Shh. Chris, what are you doing on there? They're everywhere. Huh? They're everywhere. Who? Why is nobody here? They're taking over. Who? Stop saying that. You're gonna upset them. Who? No. Chris, harder delivery hours here.
What am I watching?
Wait, I have a solution. What is it? I've been working on this paper project. Where is it? Here. Yes.
Nobody watching this shit, not gonna lie, they're all botted. The production quality of this is good. What the hell even is a streamer university?
Oh my gosh! I can't believe it! It worked! We did it! Yeah. Bring it in! This is your last semester.
Enroll now. What the hell is this? What the hell is even that? A streamer university? What does that? What do they do? What is Kai Cenat's streamer university? What is the purpose of this? I mean, what is streamer university 2026 going to be? I looked away for 1 minute. Yeah. How much money do you think wasted on this? I don't know, man. It's basically Kai Cenat's attempt to create a real-life version of what many young people imagine an influencer boot camp would be. It's Hogwarts for streamers, but instead of learning magic, you're learning how to become a content creator. In 2025, Kai rented out the University of Akron and invited 120 inspiring creators to live on campus for a few days. The idea was to give smaller creators access to opportunities they normally wouldn't have. Students got to attend creator classes, collaborate with other streamers, meet established creators, learn branding and audience building, make content together, experience a college atmosphere centered around internet culture. Kai described it as a place where chaos is encouraged and content is king. Interesting. You can apply to be a professor? You can apply? You can apply to be a professor, dude. That's right. Professor 10p, dude. Apply now, dude. I'm a professor. What is it? That'd be crazy. Imagine if I was hired as a professor for this. You think I should actually apply? Have like 15 years content creation experience. We talking about the streamer university? Hell no. Hey, if it pays good, you know what I'm saying? Destiny 2 is done for. We got to figure something else out. Apparently we're a professor at Kai Cenat Streamer University. This is what we've been reduced to. I don't think I vibe with it that much, but it's, you know, it's good entertainment, I guess. You should 1000%. I could probably actually get the job, which is nice. I'm not sure though if it's worth it. Not sure if it's my gig. What would I teach people? Here is how to make content. How to not get canceled. 101. That's my how to not get canceled 101. All right, it's time, chat. It's time to give you a breakdown of where we're at, my feelings on the situation. I was going to do a video about this. It's going to be a little all over the place, but hey, whatever. Fuck it, dude. That's how we do it. This is Professor of One Takes at Kai Cenat Streamer University right here. Bulletin just said goodbye? Really? Yeah, I see that. Or I saw that post that you put in the Discord. There has been a ton of online discourse, chatter, rumors, speculation, and in today's video, I wanted to break down a concise and clear opinion that I have in regards to our current positioning with Destiny 2, break down, and Destiny 3 as well, break down my opinions on the matter, and basically just give you a synopsis of everything that's kind of happened in as clear way possible. So let's rewind the clock a little bit. Destiny 2 obviously wasn't the most thriving game ever. It was already a pretty niche game, and clearly its budgeting wasn't going too well. We know this from the Sony acquisition many years ago, and it was apparently necessary. We recently found out about this from the ex-communications manager, Liana Rupert. That, along with Microsoft saying that they didn't want to buy them because of a higher burn rate, equals, you know, Destiny 2, it just wasn't a game that was thriving like that. They were making about $200 million a month, every month, and their costs were probably close to that. So because of that reason, they could not afford for any errors. They couldn't afford any missteps. And the first thing they needed to do to get closer to a wider margin of profitability was lay off people, right? That's why they laid off those first 110 people. The goal was that they would still be able to produce uh, content that was equivalent to what they were making before those layoffs, but now they would be more profitable, right? Pete Parsons infamously was quoted as saying, "We fired the right people," right? Or we kept, or yeah, we kept the correct people. Some quote like that, like "we kept the right people" was the quote that an ex Bungie dev said of Pete Parsons on the topic. So that happens, right? The goal was to lay off these 110 people, and therefore, as long as the content was up to par, right? It was at that same bar that Destiny 2 could then sustain itself. And so at that point, they gave themselves projections for how much profitability they needed for the final shape. And when the final shape launched, it actually did really well. It crushed like record-breaking numbers and everything, but it didn't perform to Sony's satisfaction and how much developmental effort it took to get it there, right? Especially when you factor in things like delays and, production. If you don't know, at the end, the last bit of game development is production, and that's when they hire the most people, and that's when the most, the budget balloons up really quickly. So the worst thing you want is to be in production and need an extension of time that will really make the cost of that expansion, that project, that whatever it is, that game, balloon in its costs. And so that's what we saw with the final shape. And obviously, right afterwards, they had to announce another massive round of layoffs, 220 people getting canned, hitting the unemployment line. That sucked for Bungie, but also sucked even more for us, the Destiny 2 players, because we're like, hey, we showed up. We all bought the final shape. What did we do wrong? And you didn't do anything wrong. It's just the game and the management of how profitable this thing needs to be is just it's just not a wildly profitable project, and it seems like Bungie can't really do the necessary cost-cutting measures and produce content for the game that will satiate its existing audience. And that's what we saw and what proceeded to happen after the final shape. We saw a consistent dwindling of the fan base, maybe due to a variety of factors like the narrative being over, stuff like that, but largely due to you have less devs working on the project, so you're going to have less content coming out. And that really manifested itself, I think, in Edge of Fate and in Renegades, which, in my opinion, and from what we've seen, Edge of Fate was basically the nail in the coffin for Bungie at that point. I think they missed their, you know, uh, I think they missed their monetization goals by such a massive amount that, it was completely over for them. Like there was no coming back. Their hope, their last chance, their last prayer was that Renegades and the, money grab with the Star Wars and Darth Vader and all this stuff, right? All these cosmetics would bring them back. That if people were really vibing with it and if people were like, hey, dude, Star Wars is sick. We love Star Wars. But unfortunately, the Star Wars fan base, they're crazy in and of themselves, man. Go look at the Star Wars discourse online. You've got people that absolutely hate the last few episodes that came out, which honestly I agree with. And then you've got people that just hate Disney and the approach they've taken with Star Wars. And it's a war zone there when it comes to Star Wars. So it didn't have the desired effect, right? Renegade's performance was really bad, and that was it. There was no green light for the next year. There was no green light for the Shattered Cycle. There was no green light for the Alchemist. And so those were projects that were, theorized and beginning early development on, but they just never got to happen. They never got to come to fruition. And so then lastly, now we're up to date. You have the Every End is a New Beginning, the ultimate bait article, in my opinion. I'm still a little bit salty about this because they were kind of letting us go down in a way where they're like, oh, well, don't worry, Destiny is dying, but there's a new beginning happening. What would that beginning be? I don't know. Maybe it starts with a 3, like kind of jokes. Unfortunately for Bungie, there were insiders that were leaking the information to various sources that's not happening. Like there's no new beginning, guys. That's not a thing. Like, and right now we're in this sort of weird in between period where we're imagining in our minds that there's this pitching going on, that there's Jason Jones, who's the owner of Bungie, and he's pitching ideas. He's saying, "Oh, well, what about this? So what about that?" And Sony is sitting there, on the other side of the table with a very stern look on their face, shaking their heads, right? That's the visualization we have. But that's probably not really happening, it would seem. And we don't know the details. Maybe it is, but it would seem like if the pitching period was a real thing, that would have already come to a close by this point in time. I don't know that we'll ever see a Destiny 3. It seems to be not a lost cause, because we're at least showing the world that this IP is valuable, but it would seem to be as though in the current circumstances with Bungie making a Destiny 3 with Sony, that almost feels like a lost cause in some ways. Like Sony, if I had to guess, they don't want to give Bungie another budget, right? They don't want to give Bungie another chance to burn potentially hundreds of millions of more dollars. And I know a lot of you will scream when I say that, because you're like, dude, Destiny 3 would do well. Like, we know that. There's a petition, right? You started the petition, literally. And while we did start the petition, that was to show the interest in a Destiny 3. It still remains to be seen that Bungie themselves burned Destiny 2 to the ground, and giving that exact same team the opportunity to make a sequel, it's probably not the best outcome, right? Like, we would probably need a whole new team of leadership at Bungie, which at that point in time, can you even call them Bungie? Do you really want to take the third generation or fourth generation devs that were beneath the current leadership and elevate them to the proper position and status? I don't know. Like, I do feel like Bungie as a company seems to have lost the plot of what their audience really wants, not just with Destiny, but with Marathon. And I just don't know what they could even do to sort of redeem themselves. I don't know that there is a redemption arc for Bungie, but I do know that Destiny as an IP is super valuable and something that people really want to see go forward. So I think it is time for the shifting of hands, right? It's time for Destiny to trade hands from Bungie into someone else. And we've seen this time and time again. If you don't know, there's the game Myth back in the day. Bungie left that. Some other people are making Myth. Obviously, Halo was Bungie's project, and they left that. Countless games Bungie has worked on, other people have followed up and worked on as well. So it's not like an impossible task or something that can't happen. That only Bungie has the ability to make Destiny. That's definitely not true. Most of the good studios right now could make a Destiny just as good as Bungie, if not better, arguably. You know what I'm saying? Like, arguably, they could do a better job. So we don't need to be so attached to Bungie, even though I know a lot of people have a very soft spot in their heart for Destiny 2 and the amazing memories in Destiny 1. And I agree. And Halo as well, right? They've had such an incredible history. I just feel like that original Bungie, that one that really wowed us, has aged out, has left, has moved on. And we're on the second, third generation now, whatever we're at, like with in terms of leadership. And the new group, just they've lost the plot, man. They've really lost the plot in a big way. And so that's kind of where we're at with our positioning with things. I do think that the every end is new beginning feels a little bit more like bait. I don't know how long this pitching phase is going to go on for. I was going to make an entire video talking about it. Like, how long are we pitching for? Like, you made an article saying, oh, don't worry, we're pitching things to Sony. Like, is this going to be a 1 month process? A 1 week process, a 3 month, a 6 month, like, how long do you keep pitching things until, eventually, like, you're going to get bored of this, right? And the other part that's a bit ridiculous, and the reason why I don't believe in the pitching, the reason why I believe it's bait, is because there's only 2 pitches to be made. Destiny 3 and a Destiny 1 remastered. Like, we're not pitching some marathon game right now, right? We're not pitching some, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're not pitching some old, Ganop, like Bungie's first game, or, Project or Desert Storm, whatever, right? Like, we're not pitching some ancient IPs, right? There's only 2 pitches to even be made, Destiny 3 or Destiny 1 remastered. And I think both of those are going to be emphatically denied, specifically because Bungie has burned their bridges with Sony. And I don't think there's any undoing that, right? Had Marathon performed better, had Marathon been a different or better project, and it had mass appeal, I'm not talking about the quality of the game. I know some people love it. That's fine. But I'm talking about mass appeal. Had Marathon had mass appeal, we might be in an entirely different position. But it didn't. They made a super niche game, and they overestimated the budget for this thing, and they burned their bridges with Sony in that one, and then Destiny 2 at simultaneously, both are running into the ground. And, if you have an employee and, your employee is just a complete fuck up in every possible way, you're not going to give them a third, fourth chance, right? You're just like, dude, just pack it up, bud. You're going home. And you're going to figure out a way to make the Destiny IP viable with another studio, or maybe it sits in the IP, the graveyard IP, right? It's possible. I find that to be the most unlikely outcome, just because it's so valuable and could be sold or at least licensed to someone else, right? I could see a very realistic scenario where NetEase could license the Destiny IP and make a Destiny 3 themselves. They have so much money. They're already licensing for Destiny Rising. If you don't know, NetEase makes obviously Destiny Rising, which is doing really well as a mobile game. You might think, oh, I don't really like the quality of that game, though. I would like something more like Destiny's quality. Well, they do also make Marvel Rivals, so like they could absolutely pull this off, right? Like they absolutely have the funds and the desire and the potential, right? Destiny Rising hasn't done the best for them, though, in terms of performance, so they might be a little on the fence about it. But the best thing we can do right now is make as much noise as we can until we're just completely burnt out and exhausted from it. Like, just shout from the mountaintops, we want Destiny 3. I'm seeing it every day on social media. We're doing it every day. We're signing the petition. We're almost going to cross 400,000. We should just keep advocating for it as long as we can. It doesn't hurt anything. I know a lot of people are cynical and pessimistic and everything, and I get it. It doesn't mean anything and stuff, sure. But in the real world, and how the way businesses and money really works is that, engagement and metrics and noise and having a massive community is super valuable. Like, everyone screaming from the mountaintops that they want Destiny 3 is a really good sign. And that's a good thing. If everyone just had complete apathy and they're like, yeah, you know what? Destiny had its time. No one wants Destiny 3. The petition only got 13,000 signatures, then that would show that, yeah, it was time for Destiny to die. Like, everyone was just burnt out on it and no one wanted any more stories and we were done, right? And that was okay. And we could accept that, and that would be a fine outcome. But clearly that is not what the world wants. The world wants a Destiny 3. There is a massive audience, a massive market, and we're doing it right now. We're doing it. We're building that audience, and I do think that it's going to be with someone else. If I had to guess, I don't know who, but it's going to be with someone else. I just don't see it being Bungie, and that's where we're at. I wanted to bring a concise, clear video so you could have a breakdown of everything. Like I said, there's a ton of noise. There's a lot of articles. We read every single news article. We read every single Bungie interview. We follow all of the Bungie devs across all social media, Twitter, Reddit, LinkedIn, you name it. And, so we're locked into the news more than anyone else out there. So I wanted you to have a spot where you could go, okay, well, what is really happening here, Lucky? What's the gist of it? And that's where we're at. Maybe we should make a We Want D3 shirt. We do have a We Want Destiny 3 shirt. We already got that. We got it. Yeah, Bulletin says it's over. Exactly. I think the hardest part is educating and getting everyone on board that it's just not Bungie anymore. Like, I know it's hard, but it's like, I feel like it's going to take a really big adjustment period to get everyone in agreement. But it's like, we all need to understand that Destiny 3 needs to not be with Bungie. Like, you're talking about the company that killed Destiny 2, made Marathon, which is an absolute abomination of a game. And, you don't want to give that same group of people a chance to make Destiny 3. They're going to fuck it up. They're going to make the whole game goofy and weird. Destiny 3 is going to launch and suddenly fucking, I don't know, Commander Zavala is going to have fucking be wearing a thong or something. I don't know. It's going to be weird. They're going to make it weird. They're going to make it weird. You don't want this iteration of Bungie making Destiny 3. You don't want it. You don't want it. Trust. They just inherited everything from the old crews? Yeah. All right, this is a big one. It's over, Guardians. Destiny Bulletin. This is one of the #1 news sources for Destiny content. This is what they had to say. Yeah, it really does feel like the end for Destiny. Even with all the fan petitions and the player rally on Monument of Triumph launch day, I just don't see Sony pouring that many resources into Bungie anymore, especially after how Marathon performed. Maybe if Marathon somehow manages to get a steady stream of new players who stick around over the next year, things could change. And like we mentioned before, I think that it's going to take us some time to understand, but it doesn't have to be Bungie to make a Destiny 3. And it would arguably be better for another company to take a crack at it, considering what Bungie's done with, everyone's always like, everyone was so mad at Bungie for so long that we all just put the anger away in an instant when they said Destiny 2 died. And I get it. Like, look, you're going to look past some things when you're like, hey, look, we're mad at you guys, but we weren't so mad we wanted the whole thing to die. We just wanted you guys to fix those problems. But some of those problems were unsolvable, right? Like the sunsetting issue with like the Red War campaign and Forsaken and, fucking the Forgotten Shore. Bringing all of that back into the game, for at least from Bungie's perspective, seems like it was an unsolvable thing. So they shouldn't have never done it in the first place. A whole new studio or a whole new project could obviously make sure to never make that mistake again. I just don't see it happening, man. I don't see it happening. And I don't think that the narrative of we need to somehow make Marathon successful to fund a Destiny 3, this is such a bad perspective. I really don't agree with this. I don't want anyone buying Marathon to make a Destiny 3. I don't think that's going to do anything. Your money going into Marathon makes Marathon 2. Remember that. It is not going to make a Destiny 3. But I also don't see that happening, not because Marathon is a bad game. It's one of the best FPS games out right now, in my opinion, with an amazing world/lore. Bungie had around 1,600 staff at its peak pre-first layoff in 2023. The last reported number was around 850 employees in 2024. And now, with another significant round of layoffs reportedly coming soonish, which sucks, and more Destiny staff moving over to Marathon, it's just hard to see Destiny getting the level of support it would need for a mainline sequel. I truly hope I'm wrong and Sony does something with the Destiny IP in the near future, because it has so much potential and the demand is clearly there. It's been an honor covering Destiny all these years. Damn, it might be coming to an end for Destiny Bulletin. And I think it's hard for people to see a world or a future without Bungie being involved. But like I said earlier, Bungie has been leaving projects for a long time. The Myth fans, we were just talking about this, but the Myth fans, the original game that Bungie made back in the day, they were so mad when Bungie completely abandoned the project and started making Halo. They were raging about it. They were not having it. They were so salty, right? And history repeats itself. History has repeated itself. Bungie left Halo to make Destiny. And, I'm sure some of those Halo fans were salty, but at least Halo went on and had a future, whether it was good or bad. The game at least continued. And from there, you obviously have Destiny 1 and Destiny 2, and Bungie owns that. And then Marathon. And now it would seem like Bungie needs to go on and continue making Marathon, but Destiny needs to leave Bungie's hands. But Destiny is a valuable IP. And Sony absolutely could hire a new studio and launch a Destiny 3 if they wanted to. They could license it to NetEase, and NetEase could develop it. They make Marvel Rivals. They could easily pull it off. They could license it to some other studio if they're interested. Who knows what could happen, but if Destiny truly just goes into the IP graveyard, that's going to be that's honestly the most bizarre outcome, I think, considering how cool and how epic this story and this universe is, that it goes straight to the freaking graveyard. That's wild, man. Let me know what you think. These people get paid to say go play Marathon? No, he doesn't get paid to go do that. He just thinks that Marathon's not. Here's the thing, Marathon, it has some redeeming qualities to it, but overall it just doesn't have mass appeal. Here's the thing, is regardless of your opinions of the quality of the game, it doesn't really matter. You can love a game that's a dead game. People love New World. People are online playing New World right now. Like, look. New World. This game has 1,000 people and has had 1,000 people for months now. 1,000 people playing this game. This game is coming to an end, emphatically. This game is dead. It's just waiting to die. Like they're waiting to shut the servers down. They've announced the exact date, but people still love the game. It's okay to love something that's just doesn't have mass appeal. Like Marathon just does not have mass appeal. The game doesn't have that. It's not that game. And because of that, it's not going to sustain itself. It's going to be a dead project, you know? And that's the way it goes when you make a consumer product, you know? That's just the way it goes. New World Eternum was actually a good, but it got the plug pulled from it before it could make it all on Hippie. What's that? I mean, New World was out for 4 years, right? New World was out for 4 years, and then it's gone, right? It's gone. If you want a Destiny 3, buy gummy bears. Yeah, exactly. If you want a Destiny 3, advocate for Destiny 3 online. That's how you get it done. What is this?
I'm literally gonna copy his exact crap clone. Make a Minecraft clone. I'm literally gonna copy his exact thing and see if it can make a Minecraft clone. There's no way. That's the only thing you told it to do and it's gonna do that? Bullshit. No way.
This is how we get a Destiny 3.
Yo, it made this with one, but there's no way there's more. Ugh. Okay, so it just gave me one block of area, but that's still sick. Make a Minecraft clone.
That's crazy. This is how we get a Destiny 3. You can just enter a prompt into Claude 5 and it can make a Minecraft clone game. Goddamn. The future is about to get crazy, dude. Make Destiny 3. Enter that into Claude 5. Make Destiny 3. Miskiff is an abuser. I'm not getting into all that. What the hell? I don't know anything about that. Goddamn. I'm just watching a clip about generating Minecraft. What the hell? All right, let's go over here. Ain't he the Cartman guy? I don't know. I have no clue. Zur is now selling tier 5 legendary armor. Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna check out Zur in a second here. Didn't even think to check that. Oh. Hey, get over here. Oh, that guy should have been dead. Peek it again. Oh, yes. Oh, fuck. It's the Swordmaster set, tier 5. Nice. What do you guys think about Elon Musk being the world's first trillionaire now? Apparently, we need to lock in way more than we've been locked in, because I'm not even a millionaire. There's people that are trillionaires. There's people that are billionaires. There's people that are... Being a millionaire is, like, kind of pathetic at this point. Like, if you're not at least a millionaire, like, what are you even doing? Are you even trying? Like, there's people that are trillionaires. What are you going to do when there's people that are quadrillionaires? Quadrillionaires, you know? I thought it already was. No, it wasn't until today. I think they made SpaceX a public company today. They made SpaceX like a public company today, and so it's like, it's just that made this value go up or something. Is that correct? Let me make sure I... Did Elon Musk become the world's first trillionaire today because SpaceX went public on the stock exchange market? That is exactly what happened. He became the world's first... I almost said world's worst. A little Freudian slip there. He became the world's first trillionaire on paper because SpaceX went public and its stock surged after its IPO. He doesn't have the money in cash, obviously, but it's just his net worth. How does SpaceX make money? If it's traded on the New York Stock Exchange, then it's you own a piece of its equity, right? And SpaceX is going to make money from flying people to the moon and to Mars, I believe. How will SpaceX make people money if it doesn't currently like fly anyone anywhere, right? Like it's going to? Is that are people buying into the prospect of what SpaceX will be? Like why would people buy that stock? That's actually the exact question a lot of people have when they hear that SpaceX could be worth trillions of dollars. SpaceX already makes a lot of money. They're buying the stock. They're betting on what it could become. Because SpaceX isn't just rockets. They launch government satellites. They launch military payloads. They launch scientific missions, commercial satellites, cargo to the International Space Station, and NASA astronauts. Their SpaceX's customers include NASA, the U.S. Department of Defense, commercial satellite companies, and foreign governments. They're each worth tens of to hundreds of millions of dollars each. Each one of those contracts is worth millions, like tons of money. Starlink alone is a very valuable one, right? Starlink is crazy valuable. I don't see us going to Mars in this lifetime. I don't know how, like, I feel like with technology, you don't really know, and then suddenly it's just there, right? So I don't know how long it will take before people can safely go to Mars. But the first few missions going there are going to be pretty jank. Like, going to Mars the first few times, like, there's nothing there. Like, it's going to be kind of shitty and hostile, right? Like, it's going to be the equivalent of going to, like, fucking downtown in Philadelphia. Like, it's going to be an actual, like, war zone, dude. You don't even want to be there. The environment's so hostile. They'll figure it out, though, I'm sure. Becoming multiplanetary as a species is pretty fucking epic, though. That's some straight sci-fi shit that I'm all about, dude. I'm 1,000,000% all about becoming multiplanetary. That's wicked. No, NASA's not doing it. He said, F it. I'll do it myself. Yeah, he must know something we don't. In my mind, I'm like, that doesn't even seem like it's worth it at all. Like, what the hell? But honestly, I feel like you make that much money, you're probably just bored more than anything. Like, fuck it. Let's just go to Mars just because I'm bored. What's up, nerds? What's good? Tim Allen, how's it going? World needs to get along first, I guess. I mean, nothing's gonna stop them from still doing that, though, right? It's like people will say things like, "Oh this, oh that," but it's like they're just gonna keep doing it anyway. So it's like you're not wrong, but also they don't really care. It's not their problem to solve. They're just gonna fucking keep building the damn rockets. God damn, time was going crazy over there. You know, it'd be interesting. Does this make any sense? But like, you know how you like capture the zone and then you stand on it and it's worthless at that point? Should they make it that like you get an incentive, like you get a point increase if you stay on the zone? I guess that makes people camp on the zone, so maybe not. Maybe you don't want people camping on the zone. But it almost serves as like king of the hill in some ways, right? Oh, I'm so dead. Oh, I lived. Hey, what the? Where'd that guy come from? Bezos has rockets too? Says it's the year is 2167. We as a species have made it to Mars, but the Strait of Hormuz is still shut down and Palestine is not free. Yeah. It's one of those eternal conflicts, probably. I don't know. I don't see how it ever comes to an end. Like, how does it actually come to an end, right? You don't get points anymore. The more people are getting it, the more points. You just mean staying on it. What's that? Oh, I was saying the like you capture C here, right? So like, see how C is blue. So after I capture it, I should get like a small incentive if I kill people from the zone itself. Like I defend the zone, because right now what happens is I run from the zone over to A, and then when I kill them on A, they respawn in on C, and then I run over to C, right? And so it's just like, it's just running back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And so you just run from A to C and A to C and C to A and A to C, you know what I'm saying? Whereas you could have it so you get a small boost to points if you stay on the zone. That's technically, I guess you're getting into like King of the Hill territory. I mean, they were all fighting before we got here. True. Yeah, because like, imagine I capture it. See, I get +2 points for capturing it. But now I stay and defend it, and it gives you like +1 zone defense point. So then I'm like locking it. I get the zone captured, and I don't let them anywhere near it. There's a lot of different ways you could make the game mode way more dynamic. It'd be funny too if like when you capture the zone on C, it was like a tiny ring, like a small one, right? And every time you get a kill in it to defend it, the ring gets wider and wider and wider and bigger. So eventually your zone just becomes like a huge radius. You have to like defend this massive territory, and it makes it significantly more difficult because there's just way easier for people to step onto it. It's like a reset effect. I'm gonna fly over there and missile them. What the hell? Oh, hell no. You're dead. Oh shit, I'm dead. Goodbye. I'm not even gonna fight it. Not even gonna fight it. Just accept that. See, I capture A and I spawn on C, right? And then I spawn on C and then they're capturing A right now, watching like 5 seconds. There'll be people fucking standing on A all of a sudden, right? Because they're spawning over there right now. So they're spawning over there and then I run over here. It's like, alright, you know. It's like, you know, I guess, yeah, see, they're pushing A now. It's like, you know, like, alright, now I'll shoot these guys over here. We almost get charged up. It keeps you busy, dude. Keeps you running from one side. It does keep you rotating around the map, so I actually respect that. But I think it would be cool if there was like a fucking stand and deliver incentive, you know? Like capture the base, capture the fort, and hold down the fort, you know? You shouldn't be capturing your fort and then give up your fort 10 seconds later. Like, that's not good war tactics, right? Like, you don't want to be like, oh yeah, we captured this. Now let's just, like, let the enemy have it. Oh yeah, we captured this. You know what? Let him have it. Lose points if you get killed in the zone. Yeah, dude, that's what I'm saying. Incentivize it. Like, you should, all I'm saying is make the feeling that, like, you need to defend this zone with your life. Make it matter. You know, make it really matter. And then make the zone get bigger and bigger. So if it gets really big, if someone puts a bubble on it, it's like, doesn't really matter because the bubble's not going to cover the whole damn zone anyways. It'd be pretty cool. It would be a pretty dynamic, more advanced version of Control, basically. I gotta go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back. Keep farming up your points. We're giving away these replicas, chat. We're giving away every 2 weeks. In 2 weeks from now, we're going to give away another Destiny 2 replica. You can get a piece of memorabilia to hang up on your wall to remember the good old days before Destiny died. I'll be right back. All right. We got some bao buns, dude. Some food here. That's what I'm saying. Let's go see what old Zer's got. Let's go see what our pal Zer has. I still have my pre-tiered armor with all raid and dungeon. Should I scrap it all? Scrap it all and get new armor. Scrap it all. Damn, I haven't even played Gambit yet. Guess I should play Gambit. Get some of those new rewards, huh? Playing some Gambit in 2026. Basically, none of the games are making money. It's about to get ugly. Oh, yeah. It's about to get real ugly. At least bring some damn tiered weapons here, Zer, you freaking turd. The best thing he brings is tiered armor. Swordmaster's Helm? Where's this from? Where's the source of this originally? The Swordmaster's Helm. No way this is real. He wouldn't make this up, though. What do you think that... A creator buddy who plays a ton of art got the steal and sent it my way. All I know. Is Bungie actually asking people to avoid talking about a Destiny 3? This can't be real. This is a screenshot of a Marathon brand deal. And if you see here, these are the don'ts. This is what you're not allowed to do in your Marathon brand deal, right, from Bungie. One, avoid talking about any current events, political events, gun violence, or news in general, which is understandable and fine. I mean, sure, I mean, you're probably not trying to promote a marathon the game video that has to do with, the war going on or, anything that's going on in the Middle East, right? The next part reads, talk about and or compare to a competitor. So that would be comparing Marathon to Arc Raiders, which is fine. They want you to discuss the merits of their game and why you like their game, and you don't necessarily have to use other games as a talking point in promotional content. So it's going to be understandable that they're going to have certain parameters of things you do and don't do. But this last one's kind of crazy. Avoid talking about Destiny 3. Wow. Wow. Now, if you don't know, a lot of discourse has been going on from various different journalists and news outlets. We just had, Paul Tassi has said that, if you want a Destiny 3 or a Destiny future, the best thing you can do is fund Marathon, right? So that a narrative has been spreading from Paul. And not that that's a guarantee by any means, but, that's just a sentiment from him. And Destiny Bulletin talked about it recently as well. And also Liana Rupert, which was the ex-communications manager at Bungie. So you have a lot of different people kind of drawing the correlation between the two here, where Destiny 2 is dead and over. And the only game that Bungie is actively making right now is Marathon. So if you wanted to fund any other future projects, you would need to support Marathon as much as possible. And that's the only way in which you would essentially get a Destiny 3, which I think is a crazy stretch, and no one should support Marathon for a Destiny 3. If you want to play Marathon, play it because you like the game in and of itself. Don't do it for a Destiny 3 because you're probably not going to get that. Like, that's ridiculous. The only thing playing Marathon is going to do, or buying Marathon, or spending money in that game is going to do, is fund future Marathon expansions, projects, maps, characters, and maybe even a Marathon 2 one day. Not a Destiny 3. So, with that being said, we had to comment saying, can I get more details about this? Like, I almost couldn't believe it was true. I was like, there's no way they're actually going around saying, avoid talk about Destiny 3. And they said, a creator buddy who plays a ton of Arc got this deal and sent it my way. All I know. So, a person that plays like a bunch of Arc Raiders and a creator probably got offered a Marathon brand deal to promote the game. Obviously, these are the parameters. Wow. Just wow. I kind of understand to a very small extent where they don't want you to use fund and play Marathon to talk about Destiny 3, but seeing it out of context where you're just seeing Bungie themselves telling people to avoid talking about it is crazy. And the context could be different than what we're imagining. Like, if it's not just a brand deal, if it's just their general content approach. I don't know. We'll do some digging here and we'll see exactly who sent this and where this is coming from and what the full context is soon. So make sure you're subscribed and following. But let me know what you think about the situation down in the comments, because this is a crazy one. Close Bungie, send D3 to Asia somewhere? Yeah. Just give me 1 second. Let me throw this plate away. All right. All right. Under your bed is the best place for the plates, yeah. Oh, we got lots of people doing this. Should I join one of these Fireteam Finder listings? I think I need my mic first before I can pull that off. I feel like that's definitely the play of the fun thing to do right now. Pantheon? Farming Pantheon, dude. That's where it's at. I'll probably jump into that in just a minute. All right, let's see what we're cooking up over here in the news world. Picked my favorite look for the end. All right. What the hell? Now he's got glasses and a black shirt? What the hell is this? Twitch bounty board for select people? What's he cooking up here? And a third very sad one. Paul Tassi is giving us a full spoiler discussion of Destiny 2's 2 secret endings and a third very sad one. All right. I think I know what this is about.
All right, I am back with another Destiny 2 video. Gonna drag this out as long as possible.
Milk it, Paul. Milk it while you still can, dude. Until the very last ounce, right? Until no one watches. We're gonna be yapping about Destiny 3 for many months, years potentially. Destiny 3 speculation videos are about to be huge.
Which may be a while. We'll see. Today, I wanted to get to the end of the week here and talk about the end of Destiny 2, more specifically, the actual literal end of Destiny 2 in terms of how they are kind of wrapping things up here. There are two quote-unquote secret endings to the game, which I guess aren't necessarily secret. Well, one is, but the other people may not get to for a while, depending on how you're playing. I'm going to get into spoilers here. I wrote an article like just telling you how to do it. I'll go over that really quickly, but I'm going to actually like talk about what they talk about in the endings and kind of go through what they are and why they make me sad. Okay, so to get both of these endings, you have to do something that is like not anything crazy, but you have to finish 7 of the subcategories of the Monument of Triumphs. So you go into that little node, and there are, I don't know, more than a dozen different things, 15, I don't know, 20, there's a lot. So you have to pick any little subcategory like the tower and do all the little checkbox things to the point where the left hand triumph box that compiles the other triumphs is filled. You don't have to do all of them on a page. I don't think any of them require you to do literally everyone on the page, so you can skip a few you don't like. You pick 7 sections, and then you go to another triumph. That triumph is, or wait, no. You have to do 7, and then you go to the tower, and then you go down to the Monument of Triumph, where Zavala's auto rifle will be, and you have to interact with that. It's either do 7 or do 7 and claim a triumph.
We're scuffing the guide up here, all right? Let's get Rick Kakis on the job, right? You're retiring from the guide business, okay? Leave it up to Rick.
In allies, I think it's whatever. You do one right before the other, and then I think you do that first, and then you visit Zavala, and then you claim the triumph, which is under allies. It's something big blue where you do the 7 things and then talk with Zavala. And then the second ending goes right after that. Interestingly, this is based on some lore from a ship from the battle pass in this season involving Shiro, where he's like in a panic state and he tells us that we need to go to the Shard of the Traveler. You cannot do this one until you have done the Zavala one, or it won't appear. There, you need to go to the EDZ to, I think it's the Sludge, and then you go north through the Dark Forest, which we've done a bunch of times. There's a couple portals. If you have done the Zavala Triumph, there will be a portal at the end that will take you to the Shard of the Traveler, because you cannot get there anyway else. Okay, so that's how you do it. If that was too confusing, there's YouTube videos you can do. But the first ending that you do with Zavala is kind of a more goodbye everyone ending, where it is you conversing with Zavala on the railing with the Traveler, and then Ikora's involved. It's, I mean, I think we have to understand that given the abruptness of this ending and what they did actually have to work on, the time and availability of like making true cinematics is going to be pretty tight. Like, I'm sure they had a lot of work getting even the voice cast together for some of this goodbye stuff. So a lot of this is kind of Zavala going through his history and the challenges that he's faced, which is mostly sort of a clip show of Zavala's highlights over the years. Those, cutscenes, especially as leader of the Vanguard over 11 years. And there's obviously a lot to draw from there. And then, how you are involved in all that, and the people he's lost, including like Amanda and Cade and his ghost, and his wife and kid, and like he's lost a lot of people. And as you may recall, some people have forgotten, he's lightless now. We saw him use stasis briefly, but at the end of all this, Ikora walks up and he says, like, essentially, I'm stepping down from my post. I am giving you, Ikora, charge of the Vanguard. It's like a long time coming, and she harkens back to something, I think it was an Edge of Fate, where one of the 9 called her commander because he was like, they're all like in flux in time and can see the past and future and stuff all at once. So she kind of knew it was coming. So Zavala is retiring and, like, quote, moving on, and Ikora takes over the Vanguard.
Yep. Zavala steps down. Ikora becomes the commander of the Vanguard. That was how they chose to go with this narrative. I wonder if there was a different route they were going with it, where maybe Commander Zavala dies. I'm not sure.
Obviously, if that was the planned story development, which I think it was, we would have had, I don't know about a competition, but some sort of storyline as to who would be the next Titan Vanguard. Perhaps, hopefully not as one as drawn out as Crow becoming Hunter Vanguard, because that took a very, very long time. Nominations are open. But I think this is always something that they wanted to do for a long time. I think since Lance Reddick died, they were probably trying to figure out a way to wrap up Zavala's storyline. And Keith David, amazing recast, really good actor. He's done a great job, but I think that was more of a, something they sort of had to do because it was, the final shape, and like Zavala is such a key character in that, and they wanted Zavala to continue on and be in that story, and then kind of, go from there. But I don't imagine that the plan was to have Zavala in the game forever with Keith David. I think I don't know this for sure, but like it seems to me like they probably wanted to retire Zavala, even though he's such a core part of the game. And like Lance Reddick always said, like all of these other voice actors have come and gone. Like you may recall that so much of the cast when we first started in Destiny 1 was like all these celebrity voice actors, like obviously Peter Dinklage is the Ghost, which didn't work out. Gina Torres from Firefly Suits. Jamie Lee Chung was Anna Bray. Like there was a whole list of these that were really big names. And Lance Reddick was like a really good actor, and like he's from The Wire and a bunch of things. And they all left for the most part. They came and went. Nathan Fillion left and came back as Cade. But Lance Reddick always said he would stick around like forever. And unfortunately, he died way too young. But my guess is that this was
super sad that he stayed until the very end, and literally his character in game lived on like beyond like when he wanted to. He was going to stay in the project no matter what. And it's pretty crazy to see that. I feel like they could have, I guess, gone with, having him die, like Zavala dies with the existing voice lines they have, maybe like change the plot or something. I'm sure it was just really abrupt. No one was expecting it. So it was obviously difficult for them to navigate that. And obviously Bungie's not going to use AI, Commander Zavala voice lines to have him, die or say his last words. I guess that would be crazy. Could you imagine? There is discussion about people and these voice actors who are selling and licensing their voice to be used with AI, though. So the future, as ridiculous as that sounds, the future could be pretty crazy, where you get people using, I don't know, Elvis's voice lines all of a sudden in a crazy plot twist right now.
Probably going to be some sort of wrap up. I don't know if it was going to be like, I don't think it was going to be this update, but to kind of have Zavala go off into the sunset, even if we sort of had this bridge moment with Keith David. So I thought that was a nice send off, and something we probably would have seen otherwise. The other ending, the last in-game ending that at least we know about, when you go to the Traveler's Shard, like I mentioned, you will find Lodi. And as you get close to Lodi, your entire health and shields will deplete, and Lodi will start contorting like he's being crumpled up into a piece of paper. He gets possessed, and his eyes turn yellow, and we are treated to an unknown voice where all indications point to this being the Winnower. He talks about, the battle of light and darkness at the end of time. All of this was leading back to him, like the Nine or whatever, and they'll fight they'll fight their little wars, but like ultimately this is, all the pieces are in place to build up to this final conflict. And this harkens back to the Destiny 1 days, where this has been kind of where things have been heading this whole time, even if Destiny famously didn't know what the darkness was when they first said the darkness was our enemy. There was a long debate about whether or not the Witness was the Winnower for a while before we got a better picture of what the Witness was. I still am not like the biggest fan of the Witness in that storyline, and I kind of did wish we ended up facing off the Winnower. But the plan here, what I think happened here,
it feels really unfinished that the Winnower is still alive, and like we left not in the middle of the story, but we left with leaving the most powerful entity and the most powerful raid boss of all being undefeated, which is such an empty feeling, right?
I don't think this was something that we were going to see in Shattered Cycle. My guess is that, and this is Brian, the voice of Lodi, doing this voice too. I cannot watch this again, and all right, I'm just going to play it now, and then we can circle back and talk about it.
Hello, my good chum. There's blood on our hands, isn't there? from this little spat. Even they know it. That our meeting is inevitable. The Eternal Nine. Big deal. Between you and me, who isn't? You know, the pieces they want you to knock down are already set. Ending with me. Showdown at the end of time between champions of dark and light. That's why they courted you. Impress their own importance upon you. They need your violence because I exist. But they don't get to put you on hold and walk away. Drag those 8 egos back in. Do what you do best. Impose your will. That's what a weapon's for, after all. End it on your terms. This is what you wanted, isn't it? In your heart of hearts. Don't worry. When it's over, I won't abandon you. Take a breather. Take your libations. Let that vigor seep back into your bones. Get hungry.
That wasn't a 9. But it knew you. Very well. I don't know what that was.
Okay, so amazing. I love it. I cannot not think of Negan from The Walking Dead when you watch that, like his mannerisms, like his little turns of phrase. It just reminds me of Negan from The Walking Dead, who's a great villain, but I guess I wouldn't expect like the ultimate embodiment of darkness to necessarily speak like that. But I'd say that's a welcome switch from the 9. I hate the way the 9 speak, and like I get that they're supposed to be cryptic and blah blah blah, but like it gets very annoying.
Yeah, the 9 speech being cryptic is obnoxious. I don't know if I saw Negan vibes from that. I guess you can get it to some degree. It was odd that like this entity spoke in that way. They seemed very chummy, and I don't know, they just seemed like your pal in some ways, but obviously, if they're going to communicate to us, they're going to have to use some sort of mannerisms, but they did seem at least very intelligent and aware of the situation. And it felt like they were, your rival, of course, which was cool. I think that was a cool setup. I liked it. It sounds like the Winnower story was about to be epic.
So I like this. I think Brian did a good job with this. And yeah, so this is sort of the what could have been thing. My guess is that this is where the other next arc of the game was supposed to go. Like the long-term arc, not just like, okay, the next few expansions, we're dealing with various people in the 9. I'm talking years in the future. This was going to be, kind of the next witness conflict. And I think when you're building a narrative, you need to have an endpoint in mind, even if you don't know how many years the game is going to run. I mean, whether it was 2, 3, 4, 5 more years, 7 like Destiny 2, 11 like the whole franchise. But the point being is like I think you need to have an endpoint and start building toward that endpoint rather than just sort of freestyling it. And I think this, one conversation was probably pulling ahead a preview of what was to come. Robert Brooks, one of the ex-narrative people, commented on this, and like he's like he couldn't believe all the story stuff they were putting out there, and he said that it meant the game was like done because other conversations are talking about like all of these, like any loose thread you could think of, like Zebra Wrath, like Throttle, Maya Sundarash, like all of those were kind of addressed as to like what they're doing now, what their next conflict is. And you could see how each of those probably could have been an expansion, or maybe would have been.
They told the entire narrative team well in advance that it was coming to an end, so that way they could pull this off, because they literally just said, release the floodgates. It must have been awkward being in the narrative team, realizing you're, piecing together the end of Destiny, while meanwhile the other parts of the team at Bungie have no clue. You're like walking into work, looking over at what are you working on today, Steve? Oh, no, nothing. Nothing. Definitely not Lodi talking as the winnower.
Whereas this, I think, was something that they wanted to have to paint a picture of where the series was trying to go overall in its next arc, which of course is extremely sad because that would have been awesome. You know, I think we, you know, the biggest fans among us, even in the downtimes, we would play, if not anything else, the Destiny story content for ever if it existed. And I think that they were starting to build on an interesting narrative that kind of had rocky footing at the beginning because it had to come off Light and Darkness, but something that could have been shaped into something interesting to come, and fighting the Winnower.
It's almost like they should have done this, the approach with the Winnower, instead of the cash grab Star Wars DLC. But maybe that, oh man, that might have actually won people over better. Who knows, right?
Very cool. I guess there was a third ending in which, right before I recorded this, Bungie released a, like, what is its last trailer. Like, it's not a content trailer like we had ahead of the update, but it's like a goodbye, thanks for everything trailer. I'm not going to post that whole thing here. It's pretty long, but I suggest you seek it out. It's probably the most emotional that anything out of this whole situation has made me, other than maybe the initial news. It's just so well done, and it documents like the 11-year journey, really pulling out the highlights and really edited together in an amazing way. And like, people are kind of using that as like a goodbye post here. Like, I don't know, I don't think Destiny socials are just like over now. I know the Twids are winding down and whatever, but this does seem like one of the biggest points of finality we've seen. Like, we're not going to see another thing like that. We're going to be like, we're fixing this bug, and you know, that sort of stuff for the foreseeable future. And then we march toward probably what is the unfortunate reality of layoffs, and we will deal with that when it comes in the news of that. But yeah, I would definitely watch that trailer if you want your heartstrings.
It was a good trailer.
Tugged at today.
We upload the video. It was a good one.
It's very good. I like the other two endings. I mean, it's frustrating, especially with the Winnower stuff, that we're just not going to see that. Maybe someday, you know, as I've said, I don't think Destiny as an IP is necessarily dead. It's too important. It's too long running for it not to be revived ever. It's just not going to be anytime soon, and we don't know what form it will take when it gets here. So anyway, yeah, that's my ending talk. I don't know. I'm still like having trouble like trying to figure out like a full retrospective of like saying goodbye to Destiny, because like I don't really want to. Maybe when I'm just like exhausted from playing, but I'm still playing like all the time and doing all these triumphs and grinding all this stuff. So I'm still going strong. It's not over for me yet because I'm still playing, and I don't know, like it's a quote complete game. So now it's something you can kind of go back to and build up your final collections and just exist, I guess, and know you're not gonna sunset any gear, lose anything else, and it will just exist. So
all right, there it is. That was Paul Tassie's breakdown of the endings of Destiny 2. If you haven't seen the videos, definitely check them out. It's a somber exit. A lot of us pretty sad, pretty emotional looking back. And it does give you that feeling of finality, which should have already settled in if it didn't yet. You know, Destiny 2 is over. It's not just over, but it's over, right? They have essentially burned the bridges, burned the boats at this point. The narrative is not going to be able to pick back up in the exact same way. I mean, in some ways we could, you know, start a new narrative, you know, where we take on the Winnower perhaps, but it's basically set up in a way where I don't think you would ever see a reboot to the live service game Destiny 2. You would see a Destiny 3, and maybe there would be some similar narrative notes crossing over, but largely it would be a new narrative. Maybe we take on the Winnower, maybe, I don't know. Who knows what else it could be, right? Obviously, Destiny Rising has its own twist on the Destiny universe in its own version. It's not in the same canon timeline that we're in, but that's probably the route that Destiny 3 would go if I had to predict it. Pretty crazy stuff, though. Let me know what you think about it down in the comments. All right. It's good, sweet hat, bro. How's it going? Good stuff. Good stuff. You down for taking people through raids? Returning player, I even bought the Mist DLCs on the 9th, but people still... I am still learning the raids a little bit, and if I do some raid carries, I'll definitely announce it. Right now, I want to do some raids with my teammates. Let's see if we can see what they're up to. Oh, it looks like none of them are online. Great. These teammates, man. They're all logged off, dude. Checking out what other news there is going on here. What other interesting news is happening? How's Destiny 2 doing today? I didn't even check the old charts, dude. Look at these charts, dude. These charts are goated. There's 111,000 people right now. Dude, we have consistently beat Edge of Fate's launch. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we beat Edge of Fate's launch. Absolutely goated. Cross saw the reply to Kyle. Yeah, exactly. I'm sure he'll be talking about it. That's definitely a crazy one. This thing is doing crazy numbers now. It's at 200 likes. It was at no likes at all, and then we replied to it. And then it's getting crazy attention now. Crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff. They said, do not mention Destiny 3. Don't even say it. Don't even think about it. Xur. They were telling the lore about Xur. I saw someone tell the lore about how they Xur had people and they stole him from his people and they poisoned his planet. The Nine did. Dude, Xur's story is tragic, man. That's messed up. Poor Xur, dude. Pour one out for the homie Xur. He lost his people. They fucking poisoned him, dude. They poisoned the noodle face people. What did Bife say? Everyone was saying Bife said some shit. My name Bife. My name Biff. Writing a video will probably be out by Saturday, but suffice to say I've been thinking about a lot of quote from Tolan. The shattered for no particular reason squanders. Alright, let's do a video talking about this. The Lore Daddy, my name is Bife, has spoken on the recent cutscenes and the end story for Destiny. If you don't know, Bungie recently released the floodgates released the floodgates when it came to ending various different character arcs and story threads in Destiny 2. They basically walked into the narrative team and said, anything you want to tell, tell it, because it is over. And I mean over. So they did exactly that. And every character has had like a meaningful, crazy story ending. The only exception to this is Nimbus. They just said, you know what? You're not getting anything. They completely excluded Nimbus from everything, it would seem, which is honestly based. Like, who the fuck asked for that character in the first place? So now we're going to see what Byth has to say on the topic. He said, I have seen the cutscene in question. No spoilers in this thread. I am utterly livid. The devs who worked so hard on Destiny for years, who knew where things were going and the potential that was ahead, they all deserved so much better. 13,000 likes, man. I love that the story has been told at all. But there were clearly greater plans, magnificent, majestic plans. But all that potential has been squandered. The devs all deserved better than this. They deserve to tell this story. Green light D3 already. Let's go. And I can't help but feel like with where the story went, with Lodi and speaking as the winnower, it was a really good story. It's like a really interesting premise, right? You've already fought the Witness, this great big bad guy. I sit here and I scratch my head as to why the hell did we do Renegades at all then? Why did we go from the launch of Edge of Fate directly into Renegades? Renegades should have been this. Renegades should have been that cutscene. That should have been the opening cutscene for Renegades. Like, we just experienced one of the steepest drop-offs in player population and sentiment. We should have come out swinging. Instead, we were like, you know what? What if we did Darth Vader? You know, like, okay. It's interesting in terms of a cosmetic, I guess, but like, had Renegades instead been, called the Winnower, dude, this would have been crazy. This would have moved mountains in a big way and would have at least excited the community for the future of an even bigger, badder boss fight on the horizon. So super disappointing, not just that we didn't get that before the death of Destiny 2, but that they didn't have the foresight to understand that that needed to happen pretty early on. We should have led with that, right? We should have led with this big winnower battle. And I feel like we started off too slow. We announced the 9. We were starting to cook with, Guardians make their own fate, or do they, right? What is the fate that's going on here? Like, what happens? Or did the 9 have all of this fated, right? Like, that was the premise of where we went with the Fate saga. It should have been the Winnower saga. This should have been immediately jumping to this bit, because this bit is way more interesting. Byth goes on to say a second bit here, which is writing a video that'll probably be out by Saturday, but suffice to say, I've been thinking a lot about this quote from Toland, the Shattered, for no particular reason. Squanderers. The quote from Toland reads, "You fools! You disastrous, bumbling squanderers! It's not right. Who now shall be the first navigator, lord of shapes, harrowed god, taken king? Not you. You might have been kings and queens of the deep, but you have toppled Oryx, and you have not replaced him." Exactly. Toppled the Witness and didn't replace him. There must be a strongest one. It is the architecture of these spaces. Why are you leaving? Wow. Good stuff. And when we get a response from Byf, we will check that out and see what he's cooking up. No response yet. I made a D3 campaign storyline that included the winnower and Tora bottle. Nice, McKinney Sand. Where'd you share that at? Feel free to whisper me that. Everybody who's been trying to convince a few of us to do a D&D style Destiny campaign, yeah? I'll message my friends, see if they want to raid. Let's see here. Got Pantheon tomorrow. That's right. We got the new Pantheon coming out tomorrow. All 7 bosses. Let's see what people are talking about here. How I'm making Destiny 3's destinations. Uh-oh. This is funny. Xbox are being suspiciously nice. This build will your KD 2 burst pulse rifle frosties. Cammy cake's too funny. This Titan build is insane. Twilight Garrison is back, sort of. Yeah, we doing a new Twilight Garrison build, chat? Everyone is roasting Xbox right now. The Xbox discourse is powerful. All right, what the hell am I? All right, I'm getting baited here for sure. We are actually so effing back for real this time. Listen here. Am I getting baited? Yes. Do I regret it? No.
I've always been direct and brutally honest, telling you if something is bad, then you're going to hear how bad it really is. That when something is good, you're going to hear that too. There's no one side to a story or argument, and that's fine. Everyone has their own thoughts and opinions, but when I say we're so back, when this is actually the end of Destiny 2 as a live service game, it doesn't mean that we're back to the good old glory days, and that we're going to have tons of new content in the future again. Far from it actually. When I say we're so back at the end of Destiny, it means Bungie has delivered one of the best updates, probably in Destiny's history. And they didn't just deliver, they over-delivered. Here's the thing, it's no lie that the Destiny sunsetting and content vaulting didn't harm Destiny 2. It's probably one of the main factors why the majority of people quit to begin with. But if this update proves one thing, it's that Destiny can live on. It can become something bigger and much greater in the future should a D3 ever come to exist. It's clear we don't need regular content drops. People will come back and play again anyway, and although this is the end of Destiny, there's 2 arguments to that story. People are playing again because it's the end, but really, why would they be playing and spending hours grinding for new god rules when there's nothing to use those weapons on in the future? Here's the reality. Bungie has removed FOMO. They've given us an update that overhauls pretty much everything in the game. All dungeon and raids have content that actually matter now more than ever, with a refresh loophole that's now updated. We have Pantheon 2.0 and endgame content where you can use that content to challenge yourself. so there's a reason to go and farm for those weapons, and the game feels more complete now than it's ever felt in the recent past post sunsetting. By all means it's not perfect, but it's far better than what we had prior to this update. I mean, could you imagine if Destiny just ended after Renegades? The state of the game would be at its worst ever, so I'm glad they made this final update to make it feel as completed as possible.
We are so back exactly at the moment when it's so over. It was good bait. It was commendable bait. Have gratitude for what we got. Basically what we're saying is that the final update, he's just giving a rating on the final update. It is 10 out of 10. It's absolutely a 10 out of 10 update. As far as endings go, this is it. Let me praise Bungie for doing what should have been normal. Not about praising Bungie, it's about just evaluating the update. Like, it's more speaking to the consumer, not speaking of Bungie. It's just, is the update good? The update is good. That whether that you like Bungie or not, or whether you think they're good or bad, doesn't really matter. I mean, you can make whatever opinion you want from that, really. I mean, it's just the update is good. You know what I'm saying? It is a very good update. You know, if the update was shit, we would say the update is shit. Just like we said, Ass and Iron is Ass and Iron. Right? Like, we didn't say Ass and Iron is 10 out of 10. And so you could say, well, you're roasting Bungie. It's like, no, it's not about roasting Bungie or not. There's nothing to do with that. It's evaluating the content for what it is. It's reviewing the content, basically, and giving an evaluation of that, you know? Because it could have been really bad. Let's be real. It could have been way worse. Considering Bungie in the last year, you would set the bar. The expectations are pretty damn low, right? Could have been on a higher note. I mean, yeah, there's potential.
Right, hello guys. And
Llama is back with a update. I feel like a lot of people are making guide videos in an effort to like get their last guide video out. And honestly, I respect it. I can't help but feel like I kind of want to transition my content into commentary as soon as possible, because I want people to like watch for commentary, if that makes sense. So I have kind of a different strategy where I'm not like, yo guys, this is the guide on how to beat Pantheon. Like, I don't know. It's like, I get it. It's one last paycheck for a lot of them, but I'm more like, let's keep the commentary going, because the commentary is going to shift from Destiny 2 to Sony to Marathon to other looter shooter games, Borderlands, to other extraction games, to other shooter games, to Microsoft. You know what I'm saying? It's like the commentary stuff continues on beyond Destiny 2's final update. So for me personally, I was thinking about it and I was like, do I want to do a bunch of guides? You know, just blow through a ton of guides. And I don't really want that to be the last thing I do. I want to everyone that watches the videos now to kind of expect that what I'm doing now is going to be the same thing next week, the same thing next month. So if this week I just did nothing but guides and no commentary, people would be like, it's like a different, you know what I'm saying? You want that consistency, right? When you see the notification, you know exactly what type of video it's going to be. So I'm sticking with that. That's how Bellular started. He started from being a WoW content guy to full-on game journalism. Yeah, he's done really well for himself. I really like his content too. I think he's one of the best, most well-balanced, and the production quality is really good. Like, I would love to be able to make videos at that level and consistently talk about various things of that nature, right? Like that's kind of the game plan. Yeah, Bellular does a really good job. I've been following more and more gaming news channels like that and stuff. This guy is all about it, dude. This guy right here, oof, this guy is... We'll pull this up in a minute, I'll show you. Yeah, people are still getting that last bit of build dopamine out. I want to see what these builds are. I kind of want to use some of them, because it sounds like they're pretty fire. And it makes sense based on how much they adjusted things just recently. So let's pull this up here. You've got Titans won the June update with this broken super build.
Showburst is the brain.
You've got this guy, rest assured, this guy is the fucking build goat right here. This guy's got a new build every fucking... This guy is spamming build videos. Let's see what this is about.
And welcome back to my first build video for the Monument of Triumph update. I'm very excited to share this build with you here today because I know you guys have been asking a lot about this build after I've showed off what it can do in the previous super testing video, and there's a very good reason for that. Because one of the coolest things this build can do is this. I'm gonna hit Tractor on Cole, and I'm just gonna hit him with my super, and I'm gonna look at the value on the board behind him just surge upwards and upwards. This is just normal Hammer of Soul, by the way, and we're hitting for 80,000 damage, and I've got half of my super back already, so I can go and do this all over again. That is the main selling point of this build, and you could not do this before ever. It is due to some very specific changes to a very old exotic, but when you put everything together, especially with the new artifact system changes that we have, some cool new weapon reworks, you have yourself a very fun variation of a Solar Titan build that'll only get better over time as people start to discover better set bonuses and so on. So if you enjoyed today's build video, then be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And also massive thank you for 100,000 subscribers. I will probably have a more official thank you at some point, but I did just want to mention it. It is such an amazing milestone to hit, and I cannot thank you all enough. But enough about that, let's get into the build. So the reason why we are doing so much super damage is on the surface not terribly obvious, because the exotic itself doesn't really tell you that, and it is going to be around the Hallowfire Heart exotic chest piece. Now previously this exotic used to give you improved ability cooldowns when you had your super, but now it's got a complete change. It works kind of similarly, but it gives you some other benefits too. So it states, while your solar super is charged, ability final blows cure you and give stacks of Sunfire Furnace, which stacks up to ×10 by the way. While Sunfire Furnace is active, grenade and shield burst final blows trigger an ignition, which is a nice effect. It works with the new aspect as well. However, that isn't actually what we are going to be using. Each stack increases grenade regeneration, class ability regeneration, and super damage. And super damage is doing a whole lot of heavy lifting here, because after you saw from the beginning of the clip, it's just a whole lot more than this text here sort of gives away. Upon exiting your super, all stacks are converted into super.
So we're using Hollow Fire, doing crazy super damage. She's got a specific artifact. Build crafting did just get kind of crazy in some ways. You can add so much more to it now. So much more to it. Might try this one out if I do a Pantheon here. Mactix has a new one every day. Is Mactix doing a bunch of build video stuff? I imagine so. The build videos seem to be the biggest thing that anyone cares about, aside from obviously like commentary, I guess. Yeah, build videos. Running around with Sunfire, Furnace, Sunshot, farming public events really does feel like year one. Nice. Let's do this. Let's get in game here. Hollow Fire. I put this stuff in the vault. Yeah, I got a plus. I had one with a bunch of super on it. All right. Titan builds, dude. When we hop back on Marathon Runner? Probably never, dude. Probably never. Marathon's done, dude. Marathon, every end is a new beginning. Is this a rerun? Yeah, this is a rerun. This is not me. This is not real. This is an AI generated version of myself. I didn't get any super back. What the hell? Ability to find blows Curio and give stacks. So you have to get ability final blows. Okay. How much does this stack up to? 10. What? Just gave me 50% of my super back for nothing. God damn. That's actually crazy. That's really good. Love that. Titans, dude. Titans on top. So you have to get 10, so you have to get like a bunch of ability kills with your melee, which isn't too hard. You have to get your super charged first. So the ability final blows are going to cure you as well, which is actually pretty nice. That's sick. All right, I get the gist of that. Let's get back in here. What's the next bit say?
Super energy. So that is with the 10 stacks, it gives you around 50% of your super back. It's around 40% or so, but it's a huge amount of super damage. And to give you guys an idea of how this exotic works in neutral play, all you need to do is get a kill with a solar ability such as your hammer, and then I have one stack of Sunfire Furnace on the left of my screen. And you can also go ahead and get kills with your punches. They don't have to be with the hammer itself. I believe this also works with default punches. So just get ability kills, be it through your grenade or your melee. And also when this buff is active, your shield burst, which we don't have, but your grenade as well, create ignition. So if I use my thermite grenade here, we're causing ignitions with every single enemy that we defeat, which is pretty nice. Back in the day, people used to use thermite grenades on Solar Titan back in year 1 of Destiny 1. If you were around for that time, definitely drop a comment down below. So that's just like a nice additional effect of the build. But the nice thing about these stacks of Sunfire Furnace is that they last for 20 seconds and they're very easy to refresh. They kind of line up with Roaring Flames, both Roaring Flames and Sunfire Furnace at 20 seconds. So they definitely thought about putting them together when they were making this change. And it's also paused when you enter your super as well. So if I get my final 10th stack here and then I activate my super, as you can see, the timer is frozen on Sunfire Furnace. And now if I just expend my super, I don't even have to get kills or hits or anything. As long as I lock in that stack, when I enter the super, when I exit, I'll get around 45% of it back there. And then I can start making my way back to the next one. So that is the exotic that we are going to be using. This is what is responsible for getting our super to hit like an absolute truck. And that is going to be kind of the main focus of this Titan build, is getting to our super as quickly as possible. So in order to help us out, here's how we have built our subclass. First of all, super choice. This is kind of up to you. I've gone for Hammer of Soul here because I think it's more fun, has a bit more of a fun factor than Burning Maul does. But as you might have seen from the super testing video, we did have a clip of Burning Maul doing more damage than Hammer of Soul, and that is just because Hammer of Soul's max damage is you have to be standing further away from the target because the hammers themselves deal more damage the longer they travel. So if you really wanted to do the maximum super damage, I would go for Burning Maul, but usually when you're fighting targets, you are a decent distance away from them anyway with the Hammer of Soul super, so I wouldn't really worry. It's personal preference at the end of the day. Gone for Rally Barricade here. Mini Hammer because it's just going to be your most consistent way of getting kills with Solar Titan to stack up Sunfire Furnace and to stay alive as well. Then we also have the Thermite Grenade because of the year 1 throwback.
All of this is pretty standard, yeah. I'm sure I have all this already on. Good. Oh no, I put on this. So we have the cure of this one. Good.
And it's just a good grenade. I believe it did get a buff at some point as well, I think in Renegade, so it just does a bit more damage than you might expect. Aspects wise, there is really no other pairing for Solar Titan than Roaring Flames and Sol Invictus. Roaring Flames is going to stack up to ×3, and as for your super, is going to provide a 73% damage boost, and for your melee, which in this case is the throwing hammer, this is going to be a 200% damage boost to your melee, aka triple damage, which is going to be great for the overall survivability loop. It's the classic Solar Titan loop, just with a different exotic, in this case Hallowfire Heart. Sol Invictus, excellent survivability tool, gives you those sunspots which give you restoration, and they also deal damage over time to any enemies caught within them. And by the way, sunspot kills on like Thrall or something like that, they count as solar ability kills for Sunfire Furnace. So if you are standing in a sunspot and you are getting swarmed by a group of ads, you will notice your stacks tick up incredibly quickly just because of Sol Invictus. So it's very great to have here, excellent for survivability. And because solar classes in general don't have much access to damage resistant verbs like amplified or something like that, but we will be remedying that later. Even still, the healing is potent enough from Sol Invictus to help with that problem. Now for the fragments, the first one we're taking is Ember of Torches. This one is going to make it so powered...
Sure, I have torches on. Torches already on. Torches, Empyrean. Combustion, definitely. And Eruption, probably, yeah.
Melee attacks against combatants make you and nearby. Make it so
It
your
is char.
solar ignitions spread scorch to affected
Just
targets.
torches, char.
Solace, which is our
Solace.
done by the ice fragment. This build and any potential at this, something make it so you remedying your stacks tick up incredible standing in a sun's. And by the way, Sol Invictus.
What's he do here? Go back here where I can see a clear screenshot of this for a second. Back 1 second. Alright. So we got, let's do this. Torches. Go in this exact same order here. Char. Solace. And then lastly, he's got on that Empyrean. No, it's not Empyrean, it's something else. Surprised he doesn't have Empyrean on. Solar weapon ability findables extend their... That was really nice. He has on Ashes. You apply more Scorch stacks to targets. Interesting.
Increase to your super damage, which is the whole idea of this build. We want to be spamming it as much as possible. And then I've also gone for 115 melee, which I pad out with a few melee fonts on my gloves, but we will get to the mod section in due time. And then 60 grenade, and the rest just doesn't matter at all. You don't care about health or weapons or class or grenade either, really. It's just super and melee that you want to focus on.
Yep, super and melee makes sense. Interesting build. Just let me leave this section. All right. I'm going to test out this build a little bit more in just a minute. Let's just go to the tower real fast. Mr. Beast just made YouTube history, the first to hit 500 million subscribers. 500 million, 500 million subscribers. He hits 500 million on the same day that Elon Musk becomes a trillionaire. 500 million subscribers. That's crazy. All right. What we got to do here? Grab this. A build with infinite supers. It's pretty epic. All right, Chad. I'm going to probably head out for the night. I think I covered almost all the news. I'm going to work on this build a little bit more, and I'm going to come back tomorrow and probably do some Pantheon with my raid team. And I'm going to use this build in Pantheon, so be prepared. I'll have it all tricked out, though. I'm going to spend time getting my stats up to 200. I'm going to head out, though. Thank you for the follows, the subs, the bits, the donations. Thank you for spending your time here. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Pantheon. Good night, everyone. Peace.